To celebrate 3 years on YouTube and as a push to reach 1,000 subscribers, I've got 2 giveaways. The first giveaway is a commemorative plate from Franklin Mint of John Wayne, the Duke. And the second giveaway is a figure of Bebop from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. To win any of these 2, just put in any of my videos, put a comment with either hashtag the Duke or hashtag Bebop. The draw will be done once I've reached 1,000 subscribers, so good luck, and remember, I'm not old, I'm classic. Hello boys and girls, lads and lassies, and welcome back to a cock-up. Basically, StreamYard dropped the link between the StreamYard one and the YouTube one, then it created a second one, and then what I had to do is delete them all and create a third one, which was linked again. Don't know what happened. Screwed up. I went in to actually do it, and then I noticed there was 2, and I tested it, and none of the 2 appeared up. So all the links I sent out were for one of the other 2 streams. So if anybody went into any of my other stuff, they're on the other one sitting there going, "Is he on tonight? Hello." Well, apart from that, welcome. Good night. Bye. I know it feels like that. So, how's things been with yourself, Colin?
Hot.
Yes.
Peter, I recognise. Peter, I recognise that comment. I wish I could jaunt as well. I spent the last, since 1973, I think, probably waiting to break out.
Yeah, I think my joint belt broke. Can't get it fixed. Stuck here.
See, though some of us are old enough to remember decent kids TV. When young adult kids TV was good and didn't talk down to you.
Yes. Right. How's my volume now?
Okay, it's fine.
Good.
No problem at all, mate.
I don't know what happened. I had to completely reset my computer. Went mental. It seems to be only on Discord that does that. But you been watching anything fun?
Let's see. Hold on. Let me think who's in the chat. Okay. Let's just say I just got as far as get the hell out of our galaxy. Yes. Yeah. No. That means 5. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. I've about halfway through season 4 of Babylon 5.
Well, I've got to the point where Hogan. I'm watching Hogan's Heroes.
All right.
I'm on season 3.
I'm also
any episode could be Clint going Hogan.
Yeah. I'm also probably thanks to a conversation I was having on Discord with Julie. Quite possibly going to go dig up and start rewatching James Burke's Connections.
Well, I've got something that I just bought today, which is sitting there, and I think I'm going to actually start watching. So it's part of my pick of the week, and I'll show you what it is. And anybody recognises it, I'll be pleasantly surprised. I wouldn't be completely surprised because there's enough old folk here that watch the same type of programs I did when I grew up. So I expect them to actually go, "Oh!" So,
yeah. What?
No. It's not sitting there. Put it aside for the other one. I put it for next week. I'll swap. So I will. Give me 2 seconds. You continue talk away while I go and I swap these 2 over.
Well, that whole thing about the point with Connections. Oddly enough, it's if anyone has seen it, Connections is an old 70s series with a guy called James Burke, who back in the day was the go-to when it came to science explanation.
Yes.
And oddly enough, it's a really weird story that fits Connections how I got there. We're doing, PJ and I are playing a game called Castles and Crusades every other weekend.
Coming in Friday.
Indeed, next one. It's a long one on Friday. So, and my character is an elf and comes from an elves. Typical Tolkien elves comes from forests. We've been out there. We're not going. Basically, on our Discord, TJ put a comment about that at some point in the future we're going to be visiting Alpine, which we haven't yet. Now, my character comes from that, and my comment was great. I'm going home. At which point, I then put in, I'm coming home. I've done my time. Can anybody tell me what sort of trees they're going to be?
Well, it's only if they tie a like yellow ribbon around the old
Exactly.
oak tree.
This is the problem. No one said oak trees. Julie got the yellow ribbon bit. Wendy didn't. Julie got that. So I didn't put that in there. Being my weirdly warped mind, I put that in, I think, Wendy's Discord rather than Tabletops because it wasn't that.
Yeah. Well,
Wendy
see, I've no checked the Discord today. Yeah. So I would have got it.
Yeah. Julie got it, but she got the exactly right.
Yeah,
which put me on to things. I said that one, and
it's been 2 long years.
3 long years.
Is it
3? Did you? I tell you what. Yeah. Did you know what? That interestingly enough, when I looked it up, because I couldn't remember when, and I put it. I put the first line in. I was going to try and find a link for her or for people. And actually, it's attributed to Frank Sinatra. Apparently, he originally did it.
I didn't know that.
But then someone actually put a link to the Tony Orlando thing in Discord. Yeah. So and I then did my what I used to do at Legoland and channeled a certain TV presenter, did 5 points to the audience, and this which they got some of the connections, and I then thought that reminds me of the Connection show, which oddly enough is similar to Connections because it goes the weird connections between how one thing leads to another invention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is why I went on that weird tangent.
Yeah, well, I used to watch the Connections basically. They also I'm trying to remember the Connection one I'm thinking of. It was the Comedy Connections.
Yes, yeah, I saw those ones.
Uh-huh.
Saw some, not all of those. I've seen most
of
those.
I saw the Red Dwarf one. What was the other one? Drop the Dead Donkey one.
I don't know. I remember that one, but I remember back. I know James Burke also did a series called was it the year of Inventions That Changed? I think it was he did Inventions That Changed the World.
Yeah.
I'd say yeah, I'd agree, but he's not Carl Sagan, but then James Burke I think was a science presenter, and I don't put that down at all. Whereas Carl Sagan was an astrophysicist who was a scientist who was really, really good at presenting and popularizing science. There's a slight difference there.
Have I frozen? I've frozen.
I think so.
Well, I've got the stream opened here, and for some reason it went and stopped, but it seems to be back.
Right at the moment, I seem to be a few seconds around, but that's not entirely surprising anyway. I don't seem to have glitched yet. No, I remember.
Well, basically, it came and went. It's just that I saw it on there. I just thought, oh God, but see, StreamYards have been playing silly buggers, and I think that YouTube don't like me. Basically, I got notification. Remember, we were talking last week about how they've dropped the number of subs you need.
Yeah, there's something I saw somewhere. Someone said it's subs, but it's also watch hours and things.
Well, I got the notification that I can apply for monetization. So I've got plenty. I've had the hours watched. I've had that for about 1.5 years now. However, obviously needed 1,000. I'm at 767. Is it?
Wow.
Just double checking. 768. So still, that's why I was doing the push for 1,000. But
Yeah.
so I applied for it because it came through and it says, because I use other people's contents, no. And I thought, but it basically says when you're applying, when you're uploading one, it says this is a copyright content. The owner allows you to use it, but it can't be monetized, which is fine. So if they put an advert on it, the people who own it get the money. No issue.
Well, that's even fairer.
However, yeah, which all the videos on my channel are. And now they're saying because I use other people's contents, I can't get monetized. So the alternative is going through everything that's got one of those copyright claims and remove it, which is 70% of my stuff.
Wow. Which will probably take you below the monetization anyway.
Yeah. Basically, people are subscribing because I'm putting up old clips,
yeah, exactly.
old
Yeah.
TV shows, and in effect, what they're saying is you can't get monetized. So I'll have to. I'm not going to retire early because YouTube said nope. Out.
Yeah.
So it's one of those ones. Do I completely refresh and go a different route? Don't want to.
Well, no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the time to do live stuff every day. And yes, I could actually upload the videos and do a chat over them, talk about the clips as I'm doing it, which would change it all. But that means I would literally have to re-upload everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've got hundreds of vids. There is. Let's see, where did it say? If I go into my channel, I need to actually hit the pause on this stupid thing straight away. 921 videos.
Wow.
Yes. So you can imagine I do a clip a day or an old movie a day or something.
Yeah, true.
And I've been doing that for a couple of years. So you're talking about I have to go through 900 odd videos and go remove.
Yeah, it's not worth
And then
it.
if I want to upload them, I have to know what ones I've removed and have to re-upload them and put edit and comments. And people are coming to the channel because I'm doing clips of old stuff.
Yeah.
So, and they want to come and
that's
actually.
What you're getting the most views on, obviously, that's what people are interested in.
Well, my biggest views have been obviously when Bernard Cribbins passed away. I'd put up doing the Right Said Fred. So I've got over 160,000 views on that one. So it is. I'm just checking my view count on that one. 163,999 views on Bernard Cribbins' Right Said Fred. Then the next one over 100,000 views is Down Periscope, Your Boat. And then 66,000 views is a Down Periscope again. Balls to the Walls, boys. Which is the one that got kicked out because they said it was went against public policy. And I says, but wait a minute, it's a woman in charge of a submarine saying those words, which is not a derogatory term. It was just, and they basically says, right, fine, okay. And they'd even put a copyright claim on it. And then the next one I've got is the cowboy, the revenge scene. So they're my top 5. There's another, let's kick this pig down Periscope. That's my top 5. So as I said, 163,000, 103,000 and 66,000.
Yeah,
then it drops down to like 33,000 and 25,000. But if that means I would, out of the top 5, only one of them could be kept up.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it's the one that basically balls to the walls, boys. Do you see what I mean? It's just a case of messing around.
If that's what people come, that's what most people, that's what your most popular videos are, then obviously that's what you want, and that's what you
want to keep it with. So if
YouTube will want, because they want the views for their adverts.
Yeah, because if I do my views for live streams, the most I've got is 1,855 for the one we did for the Wednesday night for Keeping Mum, Rowan Atkinson, Maggie Smith and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then over 1,000 for Bristol County Junior. It was obviously the Wednesday night reviews. But remember, the Bristol County Junior, I got a copyright strike for it. And I got the same for Keeping Mum. So those two would have to go as well, which are the two of them over 1,000 views. and because we played a bit of the streaming it, they copyright claimed it. They copyright claimed it, but allowed it to be used. But same principle.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I'm saying. So, if I wanted to get monetized, I would have to literally reinvent the channel.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to do because I don't have the time to do. Which I enjoy doing the Saturday stream and then do as I'm watching bits of old TV stuff, clipping it and uploading it, or even some of them which are old. Like I'm doing, I think it's what's the most recent ones I'm doing just now? Hogan's Heroes is going up just now. They're due to go up next week, I think, or the week after. But then they've got Rocky Jones Space Ranger, which has started going up, and I've got a good few of them. I just did One Step Beyond their full episodes. So I did Superman, I've done Johnny Jupiter, I've done a thriller with Boris Karloff. They're just all out of copyright. Some of them got the copyright restrictions because the owner allows it, but 90% of them were their 1950s. So they're out of copyright.
Yeah.
But the problem is, do I really want to go down that route?
Well, no, if you don't want to go down that route, no, because it's not. I mean, it's just like, I mean, at the moment, this is not. At the moment, I would say the proper way to go about this would be, okay, it's a hobby I do.
Well, exactly.
If I can get monetized to make some money,
yeah.
If I don't make a lot of money, okay, no matter, a little bit here, maybe a bit
when I started it was basically just because to get out and actually just basically do reviews of old TV shows and movies. That's what I started. You can see how bad the videos were. They were blurry. I didn't have a beard, and I mean, I just sat there and all the way through it. So then it's grown from that. We started doing the Saturday and the Wednesday, and then obviously just time frame Wednesdays is just it was starting to be like homework. So I just basically had I was constantly busy midweek and having to block out a couple of hours to watch a program a couple of times was starting to be an issue. Whereas I've got stuff on the background all the time, but sitting watching it. So like even the clips that I actually upload, they're things that are on in the background, and if I hear something, I'll stop it, clip that bit, and then it takes 5 minutes to clip the bit because I've watched it that many times. I don't need to sit and watch it and wait for the right bit. I just go clip, know what's in it. But it's just one of those things. And that Karate TV Kachansky, I can understand why they've got issues because, well, you can't see boys watching women on video because karate, remember, was not classed as a boy because he didn't have the parts. But
it didn't excite his vacuum cleaning stroke wrist attachment.
Yes. But it's the thing is the way they're changing stuff, and it's just one of those things. It's annoying because just the idea that something I'm enjoying doing, they're occasionally going to give me a couple of quid here and there, and I thought, oh, that would be nice. But it's not as if I'm expecting to. Oh, I can retire! Yay!
Yeah.
It's basically it was just a bit. Oh, that's interesting. However, do I need to push for the 1,000 subs now? Not really. So I think I'll actually bounce the video and actually just do a new video saying that anybody puts a thingy and just put a time frame on it rather than the 1,000 subs things because 1,000 subs is unimportant now because they've changed the limit.
They've changed it. It's not going to make any difference.
Yeah, and that way I can just say by 2-3 months any on my videos and do it that way. But I've got a couple of other things to actually give away, so I've got a 3D Justice League jigsaw, the one member I was showing the ones that I've got, Well, I've got another one to give away. I've got 2 bobbleheads from of Boise and Uncle Albert from Only Fools and Horses. So I've got a couple of them to give away as well. So I've got extra stuff to add. So what I'll do is I'll just say in the months of, instead of just drop a comment and then I'll draw 5 winners out or 4 winners out. And it's no big prizes. It's just as I said, wee bobbleheads. I buy them and then I realise I've actually already got them. But it's when usually see the thing is normally I know exactly what I've got, but if I'm out and about and I see something and they're saying on sale only £2, I'll say, have I got it? I think I have, but it's only £2, so I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
And then when I got home, yep, I've got it. So it just goes to the pile. Normally the pile is there for nephews, nieces coming up going, oh, your room is, you get any toys in here that I could play with? I'll go, here, I've got plenty of spares. There's all my doubles, and that's what I do. But
exactly.
I've got that many. I've got that many. I've got even extra. But it's just weird. It threw me. It threw me for a curve when they actually says yes, no, yes, but no, yes, but no. Oh, and you can't appeal it unless you actually go through and edit your channel. So what's the point? So you can't turn around and say, listen. I expect anything that gets monetized on these goes to the people who own them. I don't expect to get monetized, but what about the rest of the stuff? They've effectively says unless I go through my channel and edit it, then I can't reapply. I can't appeal it.
Yeah, they seem to be trying to.
They're trying to get more money because obviously I believe YouTube is actually being hit hard with the competition. People are getting annoyed with all the things they're doing on it.
The problem is what they're doing is they're not actually addressing the problem.
They're not. They're basically just reducing the bar so more people can get advertisement, which means they get more revenue, as if that's going to fix it, because all it's doing is basically putting straw in a hole in the bucket. Eventually, it's going to go.
Well, I mean, all they're doing is they're saying, okay, we'll ignore the disease. We'll put a plaster, we'll put a plaster over it, but we're not going to actually sort of go to the hospital.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's weird as hell. So, but if it's a couple of years down the line of me just continuing doing what I'm doing and enjoying it, that's it. That's all I'm interested in. As I said, the other channel I've got is basically that's just categorizing me learning my metal detecting. But I don't expect anything from that either, because yes, that's all me, but it's a new channel. People have I know a lot of people don't have interest in metal detecting and learning it from someone who's got no idea what they're doing and messing around. Although the museums want one of my items that I found. I'm happy with that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I got notification that it has been of local historic significance, and they've requested me send it into them or hand it into them. So I've emailed out trying to make an appointment to hand it in.
Oh, wow.
It's only 100 years old, so it's not as if it's very historic.
Is that the
site?
Wow.
Yeah. So they basically said because it's very dateable, and the company, this British Siphon Company, renamed themselves from the new British Siphon Company to the British Siphon Company. So the name it's on it, they renamed themselves to that on the 1st of July 1925. So that's a start date, because prior to that they were either the new British Siphon Company or they were it was a brand, it was just a generic. They used to do it, but they didn't have a specific name. So they had like the Siphon Company, that's what they were called. Then they branded themselves in the early 1900s as the new British Siphon Company. Then they rebranded themselves as the British Siphon Company in 1925. So I've got a start date. And the company, the other company name on it, Robert Carruthers, from Dumfries. I thought it was 1930 they stopped trading, but the Treasure Trove sent me a link to the information they've got, and they ended trading in 1933. So there's an 8-year period for that soda siphon. So it's got an 8-year period of when it was made. No idea when it was actually broken and in the field. But history was fun, actually digging all that up. So, yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I find out that, and now they're saying because it's got a name from Dumfries, maybe the Dumfries and Galloway Museum would be interested because it's local significant, because it's a company, because they obviously deal with all local stuff.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And if something from there. So they've asked me to hand it in so they can record it and check to see if anyone's interested in it, because they said there's been a couple of bits of interest because it's Dumfries mentioned on it. So even if they actually just categorise it and then somebody says, no, it's a wee bit too damaged, maybe, thanks anyway, I'll get it back. And it's been catalogued, and it will appear on their list of all this stop, did a test here, they found a coin here, they found a bit of pottery here. Oh, he found a siphon here. Because there's a website, it actually shows all the things that they've catalogued. So I've got one, and it's got an old Roman dig for a supposed Roman road, and they found a couple of layers but no ditches, so they think it may be the road, so it's probable. Then I've got another one that says bit of Roman pot found here, a Roman coin found there, well digging up by the rivers, and they'll have one that will say a coin dug up by metal detectors and the date and stuff like that. So that will appear on it, and I'm happy with stupid wee things like that. Interesting. That's what I did it for, because I'm interested in the history part of it, and I'm getting out there and being less. Well, I'm still the same. So let us say a wee bit healthier. I'm trying to get, not a wee bit thinner, a wee bit healthier, because I still go out in the field and I've got a backpack and it's got my sandwiches and stuff like that. So I'll stop in the middle of it and sit down and have an oxo and a sandwich. And a diet iron brew. Always get that with me. But fun. I'm having fun doing that, because one day a week I get out and do it, and it gets me away from my desk. And it means that, because that's it. When I start work, I'm in front of a computer. When I get home, I come back in here and I'm in front of a computer. So 6 days a week, I'm in front of a computer most of the day. Sunday's the one day I get out of this room, no computer on or nothing. And we all need to do that. Or else basically the legs go, well, you don't need them anymore. Let's get rid of them. Because you're sitting at your arse all day, so that's all you need. So I'm trying to actually not be too old and so, but that's what I'm doing. I'm doing it for a bit of history, and I was down at the bookshop and I got a couple of books. One I've got for the pick of the week, the other one's sitting for next week. But I've picked up Roman books, I've picked up History of Scotland books, I've picked up Ordnance Survey maps, anything that gives me the area I'm working in, and it allows me to actually research. So I'm getting dug into the research, which I used to do for all my Second World War stuff. And I dropped because I'm sitting in front of a computer. It's easy just to go, and then somebody tells you the answer and you don't need to look into it. You just see the answer. I've decided, nah, you need to actually look at multiple sources. And that's why I built my proposed Roman road, because there's no idea. They've no idea where the Roman road is around about me. They've got a couple of things that they think might be Roman road related, and there's been a few trenches, but they're probables. So I'm wanting to be out there, find things that people go, oh, where'd you find that? Well, I think we might need to dig there because that's quite significant. And dig down and go, oh, that's the Roman road that's running through this area. Well done, you spotted it and you've got it tagged. So if you look at Roman Scotland, there is maps. It shows areas where they know was a Roman road. There's ones where they think there's a Roman road, and there's ones where they think a Roman road may be somewhere in this area. We're in the one, the Roman road comes down through Stranraer, no, through Straven to Sandyport, and that's where it stops. And there's an old Roman fortlet, which was 1930s. It got dug up because the sand pit was put there, a sand quarry, no a sand pit. It's no two kids sitting there going wee. It's a sand quarry, so they were quarrying sand, and it was the Roman road was, so that got demolished. And they reckon, I've seen some researchers say the road must go through the Roman fortlet, but I've seen other ones saying it goes north of the Roman fortlet. I've seen ones that says it goes by the Roman fortlet and turns north. I've seen ones saying, well, it must go to Irvine, so it has to go along the Irvine Valley. So there's different, where is it? They don't know. And I've seen all the bits where people have referenced it and gone back to the 1800s. And I've plotted everything on my map, and I've put I think the road goes here. Now I need to find it. Anybody got a shovel? So that's basically what I'm doing. My metal detector's there to find a place that has got something that somebody lost. From there, they might actually go, oh, you found a couple of bits in the same place. That's quite significant. Let's send a team out to have a proper look. And that's what we're all looking for. And that's, I would love to be able to say, I helped find where the Roman road ran along the Irvine Valley.
Yeah.
The likelihood of it happening, I've got two chances, slim and none.
Yep.
But we'll have to do it. Yeah, Watling Street is it the A6 or the M6? Watling Street is now.
I think so. I think that's the one that goes up north because the
and you've got Ermine Street as well. That's why you've got the Ermine Street Guard. You know what I mean? So there is a lot of Roman stuff they know about. There is a few bits where they've got a bit there and a bit there in the map that they know about, and they assume it connects. But does it, or else does it go and up that way, and doesn't connect to that part because it comes down that way? It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it is.
So that's what I'm doing. It's basically trying to get me off my arse and actually using my brains. Because I stopped reading and I listened to audiobooks. Now I'm back into reading, so I've got about 4 or 5 books I'm going through. Even though I'm not reading them cover to cover, they're reference guides, so it gives me, I read the bits and pieces I need. And I've got a couple of metal detecting magazines come every month. I'm sitting reading that. I'm online reading and doing research. It's getting that going, and that's what it was all about. Getting that going and getting my legs going. So
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And audio books are great except for one thing. Audio books are entirely, to use a programming term, sequential. You cannot random access an audio book. Whereas if you've got the thing in front of you, you say, okay, I want to go to, okay, so this is the
chapter. I hate that chapter. I'll flick to this bit because that paragraph I know that paragraph is coming. I'll skip that 3 pages because I know when it starts picking up again. Can I do that unless you go skip? Oh, back too far, and stuff like that. Yeah. Or sometimes when you know what it is, you basically, well, I like chapter 6, page 4 because it's got a good description of a battle, so you go straight to it. But in that, you would have to go right. It's 4 hours, 3 minutes, and 20 seconds in, so I need to, and it's not the same. It's basically, an audiobook is great because you don't need to think. You can sit and drive, have somebody read a book to you. Great. But for reference material, like for instance, I'm going through some Eric Von Daniken, Graham Hancock, and I'm doing another one. It's about Weapons of God. It's not an Eric Von Daniken one. This is a guy. It's actually really good. What he does is see all the ancient aliens. They're saying that there was spaceships here and this, but and they were talking about a nuclear weapons here and this, that. What he's doing is saying, well, there is evidence from that based on what you're saying. However, There's also evidence for this and this. But yeah, based on everything you know, you can't rule that out. But you also can't rule that out and that out. You can't just say it must have been aliens. And the good thing is he's doing things like he's talking about the Vimanas, right? I can't even remember his name. I'll let you dig out my phone. But he's talking about Vimanas, right? And he's saying the information and the design of the Vimanas isn't in the what's it called? The text. I can't even remember the name of the text. The oh god, it's gone. But the Vermanas are the flying machines, right? And it's based on a guy who wrote about what they looked like, based on channeling somebody telling him what it was. So he was designing them based on what channeling was coming from him about the Harabat. Is it the Harabatmatas? I can't remember anyway. But he basically was channeling, and so all the descriptions on like the ancient aliens History Channel, and they talk about them, and it's descriptions of the ships and the books or the text. It's not. They talk about the Vimanas flying across the sky in chariots and stuff like that. However, all the information that they imply, which is in the text, isn't. It was a guy who wrote a book based on channeling. So somebody, some ancient mystic, was getting it in the 1920s, and you're sitting there thinking, I didn't know that part. So what they do is they're skipping parts, and they're leaving. They'll tell you things like, well, there's a place in Iran where the sand is turned to glass. There's bodies being found which are irradiated, lying in the streets of this place. So they think it's been an ancient war between aliens or an advanced culture, and they used a nuclear weapon. And he goes through and says, well, yeah, there was that sand, and that sand has been noted after the nuclear tests in White Sands in America and the radiation of the bodies. However, they didn't tell you that there was 4 layers in that city, and the bodies were in the street, which they tell them that they found the bodies in the middle of the street holding hands, but they don't tell them that there was 4 or 5 layers to that city, and they might have been lying in the middle of the street, but that was maybe layer 2 where it had been built on, so they were basically buried. They weren't just something happened and they all got killed running down the street. So he's basically saying this is what the facts are, and you can make your own mind up. Is it ancient aliens, or is it ancient advanced humans fighting with each other, which caused the catastrophe we all forgot it? Or is it all these information? So what they're saying is the ancient alien thing, guys, are basically clipping parts out, the good bits, and ignoring all the rest.
Yeah.
And some of the information he's given was really good. So it was, and he's sticking to the facts. So he said beforehand, he's basically his book is about this. He's not out to prove it or disprove it. He's going to discuss the whole thing. Right. Weapon of the Gods by Nick Redfern. And it's really good because he sticks to facts. So even things that maybe actually he'll say, well, there was an ancient battle between these two based on the text, and he's saying, but if you look into it, this person translated it saying this person translated it saying this person translated it saying this, but this person said this, and he didn't translate it because he couldn't speak it, so he just based it on what he thinks it says, and that's the one that everybody's using because it's the most wide known one because it fits a narrative. And he says, take all 3 of all 4 of them, and pick the ones that have studied it and actually translated it, and see where they match their translations. and see what the differences are and stuff like that. So he goes into the facts, which is actually it's a nicer turn, and I'm quite interested in it.
See which one's mentioned the Warlords and the Shadows. That's the one you want to believe.
Yeah, Chariot of the Gods was a big seller.
Yeah.
Basically, Eric Van Daniken, he's still around and he's still doing his tours and stuff like that. And I've read the Chariot of God, and I've read about 2 or 3. Well, audio read them. We still use the expression where I've read a couple of books. I've audioed a couple of books, but it sounds better when you say read a couple of books.
Yeah, I
read
some of the Depth One Denikin.
You're quiet. What happened? You went dead quiet.
Yeah, I think I got that hay fever at the moment, and I was sneezing, so I keep muting myself. I'm going to sneeze.
Yeah, no, it's just that you. I knew you were muting yourself, but you literally went very quiet. So you did.
Oh, that may even have been the internet. You know, my internet's like.
Yeah, that's a bit better I get now. But you know, I've read a couple of books or audioed a couple of books, and Graham Hancock. I've read about 3 or 4 of his.
Oh, read Hancock.
And as I've said, and the good thing is if you've got Audible, a lot of these are free if you've got a membership.
Yeah.
So there might be 2 or 3 in the series that are free. Then the 4th and 5th one you purchase, but you're getting 3 of the books for free as part of your membership. And there's a load of books all about that, and you don't need to read the whole series. There's plenty of books out there that keep you going for a year that are free as part of your membership.
Yeah.
So, and I've got two credits sitting waiting, and I'm waiting for Dungeon Crawler Carol to come back because that's due. It's already out in paperback and it's out in Kindle, I think. However, the audio's not even started yet.
Wow.
So it'll be a couple of months before the audible will be out, and I'm looking forward to that. What's that?
I don't know. I used to read 14 Times a Case, and I had a friend who was heavily into that.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, do you know what I saw in the charity shop today? A bucket, and I'm talking about that. By that, it was literally full of Warhammer, White Dwarfs, and stuff. It just had a load of games. Some of the White Dwarfs said Games Workshop White Dwarf. So some old ones, there was a load, and I was so tempted to go and pick them up. And I thought, it will just annoy me because I'll pick a couple of them up. They'll be really good, and then I'll think, but the new stuff is rubbish because I want to read the old battle reports from stuff like that. But if I buy a couple of them and it's all the new stuff, so I decided not to get them. Next time I'm down, if they're still there, I'll go through them because I need more time to go through. When you've got about 30 or 40 or 50 magazines and booklets, you want to take your time going through it. I didn't even know if there was any like army lists or anything like that. No, because
they've just released a new version, I think now.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So somebody could have just all their Warhammer stuff, and it's in there, and it could be their rule books and stuff like that from the version they were playing, or else it could just be all White Dwarfs. I just saw a couple of them, and I thought it was thinking, but I just didn't have time to sit there and go through them all. And I did. Next time I'm down, I think I might, if they're still there. So
yeah, it's a shame when something like that was young. I remember donkeys years ago now. I was at a show in Exeter, and I think it's Exeter, and there were several charity shops quite close to each other. And I remember sitting in one and going through them back when you used to get, or they used to collect those. Do you remember years ago you used to get DVDs on the cover of Sunday papers? You get a DVD. Yeah, exactly. You get a DVD on a Saturday, a DVD on a Sunday.
Look, right, there's 4 there.
Yeah.
I picked them all up today.
Wow,
They were free.
wow, they're still doing them. Wow, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they
I mean,
basically somebody had handed them in. They said they were free. Just give a donation. So I
yeah,
picked
because
up
I
a
think
load of them.
they reckon apparently they're not supposed to be able to sell them because they were free on the cars. But you used to get them, and then what you'd get is, I mean, because that's why I was looking at things like Churchill's Bodyguard and World at War and things like that. And I remember, and then you used to get loads of them. I haven't been in charity shops recently, I must admit, but and I was looking at a load of these ones, and then I ended up saying, "Oh, have you got any more of these?" And they literally let me in the back of the shop, and I was going through literally. They literally let me in the store at the back.
Yeah, I've done that before. They've let me in, but look at that one when you mentioned it. That was one of them. World at War. But yeah, I've basically been in because I do the DVDs, go through all the DVDs. The one for sale, and the woman was saying, "You looking for anything particular?" I says, "Well, it's more like box sets and stuff like that." And she says, "Come here." She went, and there was all the box sets they hadn't put out yet. That's when I got all the NCIS stuff.
Wow.
And basically, and I said to her, I says, "Much for that whole series."
How much for the whole shelf?
But in effect, that's what it was. And she says, "Just give us a tenner." So I got the whole series of NCIS for £10.
The whole series?
The whole series, the complete collection. I think the most recent series wasn't on it. So I think there was 14 seasons.
I don't know how many seasons there was.
I think there's 15 or 16.
I stopped watching it quite a while ago. I mean, I don't know if you know if it's still going. I enjoy it.
NCIS went 19 seasons at least.
Wow.
So I got it must have been, I definitely got 16 seasons, I think.
Wow.
For a tenner. Because it was just after the pandemic. We were down on holiday. I'll have them, thank you very much. Because I was just talking to a woman. I says, I like my DVDs, I like my physical media, and I like box sets. And she says, come here. And all of the stuff that they couldn't fit in the shelf was all piled up there. And I got to go through that. So I got the NCIS, I got the full collection, however, but I also got other bits and pieces. That was stuff that before I used to dig them out occasionally for the pick of the week, but it's no stuff I've bought recently, so they're not been on the channel. So I might actually, instead of going to the charity shop to buy them, I might actually just start digging out the stuff that I've got, because I've got nearly 2,000 DVDs.
Wow.
Yeah, 2,000 basically. Although some of those are box sets, so that counts as one. So like the Babylon 5 box set counts as one.
Wow.
Stargate, the Stargate Atlantis, and that counts as two.
You see, they're apparently doing something.
You cut out there.
They're apparently doing something with Stargate. I don't know if they're restarting Stargate or picking up.
I heard the rumors. I heard the rumors. But did you see the trailer for Babylon 5?
I saw the trailer for Babylon. Or what you mean, the trailer for
the animated thingy, Bumble.
Yeah, or as I called it, Babylon 5 Quantum Sliders.
Yeah, to me it just looked.
Yeah,
it was almost a case of what we want to do is actually go back to the beginning. Oh, let's do a prequel. Oh God, that's what it was like.
Well, yeah, and there's something actually.
Do you know what I want to see? If I want to see a prequel, I want to see the Minbari who received Babylon 4.
Yes,
that war.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see. I don't want to see
I'm called Valen.
Everybody before. Yeah. Aye. I want to see Valen and all that. So you've got none of the characters. The only one you've got is Valen.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, when you consider that was happening about the same time that Magna Carta was being signed.
1,000 years, aye.
1,000 years earlier, it was 2200s. So it was just after, it was 13th century our time, I think, if I'm right. So, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So if I want to see a prequel,
because-
that's what I want to see. I don't want to see him flipping through time.
Yeah, that is the only one.
Peter, I was always say never go to the sex shop.
Yeah, I mean the only alternate universe I would like to see would be the one that JMS had originally planned before he started losing characters. So I'd like to see the one where Ivana is third in command. And it's Laurel Takashima, who is the Psycho agent, where Sinclair doesn't. I don't know what he was going to. I mean, I don't know at the risk of breaking storyline. Yes, that would as well, Peter. Yes,
that would be a really good one. I would like to see that. But see, the problem is as well, no matter how much we'd like to see them, would you want them to be filmed now? No. And that's the problem. There's so many good stuff out there.
There's lots of great little almost throwaways. I mean, I said I'd like to because I know Straczynski had a story and he was clever enough to put in possibilities if he lost people because he, when he loses these actors, he doesn't recast. What he does, he's just like, okay, he writes that character out respectfully. He doesn't just dump them off or whatever. The actor wants to leave, he changes, and he puts some of those things on other things. I'd like to see. I'd really like to see them do how the Terran Federation is formed in Starship Troopers. I'd like to see the crazies. I'd like to see everything going to hell, and I'd like to see the veterans taking over and bringing law back. And I'd like to see some again.
Yeah. Same as Judge Dredd. I would like to see the President Booth timeline. Basically, the start of the justice system. Well, it's not the start of the justice system. It's the judges taking over the government because the judges system was started before, and it was because of President Booth. And the funny thing is, basically people, I was not myself, were comparing Trump to Booth. They were saying basically Trump was going to be the President Booth that started the atomic war and made the martial law become the thing, and they're bringing in the judges. And I was sitting there pissed myself.
I'm highly impressed and surprised that people who could say that about Trump even know who President Booth is.
Yeah.
I'm quite impressed. There's a crossover there I wouldn't have expected. Although, to be quite honest,
it is nuts. But yeah, I would like. But then again, there's Judge Dredd stories. I would like to see them doing a hot dog run. I would like to see them doing the cursed death. Would I want to see them do the Dark Judges? No, it's too soon. They would need to establish the crazies. So you would need to establish the Ape Gang or Call Me Kenneth. You would need to establish all that before you get to the Dark Judges and the alternate dimensions and Judge Anderson and or the what was it judges? What were the judges? The priest judges and stuff like that. You would need to have all them established well before. You can't actually go from Judge Dredd the way it did with the Carl Urbane and then suddenly bringing in the Dark Judges because it's gone from ultra realistic. Then you're bringing in fantasy.
Yeah,
that's why when people are saying, I would like them to do that, and I'm sitting there thinking, no. There's so much they need to do before they can actually bring they can bring a Judge Death, Mortis, Fire and Fear into the world because that'd be like turning around and saying, right, I'm actually going to be watching Starsky and Hutch, but he's got a dragon. But where the fuck did that go? It'd be like that.
The first thing they need to do, I think, is take Carl Urban's Judge Dredd in Sylvester Stallone's Mega City 1.
Yes, that's exactly what I've said multiple times.
Yeah.
Mega City 1 is a character, and Sylvester Stallone's Mega City 1 was superb.
Yeah.
And the way they did the ABC robot, I want to see those doing a Call Me Kenneth.
Yep.
Now that would be a good one. The Cursed Earth was, well, it was not, it was different. The Cursed Earth one is all about them going across the Cursed Earth to deliver a vaccine. But Booth was, yes, the vampire
Damnation
robot.
Alley.
Yeah.
If you've never read that or seen the film, it's Damnation Alley. Very similar to that.
Yeah, in effect it is. So, but the Booth one is, yes, he's got a thingy in the Cursed Earth, and he's surrounded by robots, and they have to overpower him, and the vampire robots. But so the Cursed Earth storyline was different, and that's where this comes from.
Oh yeah.
So as the Cursed Earth storyline is this. I even managed to get a couple of missiles. Oh, did I kick anybody off? No. Basically, I popped it, and it basically hit the screen. I thought I'd actually closed the stream. It just didn't. What it did was opened another window, and it just stuck to the window, and I thought, bugger! So, but yeah. So that's my. So as you can see, it's that's what it is. I better put this away before I actually break anything else.
Or you shoot something.
Yeah, but yeah, that I've got the buggy from the Cursed Earth.
I don't know if I want them to do the judge trial, because that was a bit.
Yeah, the Land Raider.
Some bits in that which are. I mean, there's some bits I think which don't work as well as others. Some stories. But then again, that's personal taste as well, isn't it? Yeah.
But see, the thing is, the Dark Judges was a really good story, but they'd already set up a world where you had the Judge Child, you had the mushroom, where it basically judges would go in and basically medical judges who would go in and experiment on themselves and give themselves justice to get, and they've had ones where there was demons, so somebody unleashed the demon, and they had priest judges and stuff like that. They had, then you've got the Psy-Core, the Psy judges, not the Psy-Core. Right, but
Judge Bester. Now they're quite over.
But gradually they established them. So it started off as you had the crazies, the footsies and stuff like that. Then you would have things like the Ape Gang. Then you would have the Clegs. Then you would have... So they basically set up, there's outer space. There's there's genetically modified animals. There is this, there is that, there is this. So it basically built all that up. So when they brought the Dark Judges in, it wasn't a stretch. But you imagine the people are saying what it should do now for the next Carol O'Brien one is the Dark Judges. And you're saying, sorry, disconnect as such. Because you've got one that's ultra realistic. There's nothing special in it. It's not even sci-fi-ish. So they're not using laser guns and they're not doing this, but they suddenly want to have an alternate.
Well, not only that, but I mean, if you're going to decide the Dark Judges properly, you've brought in.
You need to establish it first going forward.
Not only that, but if you're going to do it, if you're going to do it properly, the way.
I was just laughing because it's the dread.
Yeah, you're going to end up with at the end of the second film, your second lead character is going to end up encased in a block of plastic.
Yeah, boing. But that's what I'm saying.
Because
the thing is,
you're going to have to do it with the only way to fight the back at that point is Anderson, is him stuck in Anderson, if you pardon the expression. I can think of a lot of place to be stuck. Exactly. But you're going to have to. I mean, this is the problem. They're trying to do something which has got.
And it's even the fact is, right, Do you know, if I had the reins, wishful thinking, of the Dread franchise, and somebody turns around and says, "We don't want to give you too much money," no problem. We'll do the hot dog run.
Yeah.
Remember that movie, the one that was set in Vegas with all the zombies? And there was the group of people had to go in because it was a heist. They were going into Las Vegas to get something, and it was during the zombie apocalypse. I can't. It was the most recent movie. It's
I say no. I know there was a that was one of the Resident Evil movies had a similar storyline.
but you think about it, right? So they do that movie. See, instead of doing that movie, instead of people getting in to do it, just change that to the Cursed Earth. So you've got a judge, you've got 3 or 4 other characters, then you have the occasional big bad. That way they can actually, you could have a TV show of the Cursed Earth, and there's the zombies one week, there's the footsies, there's the mutants the next week, there's the dinosaurs the next week, there's the the robots the next week.
I'll tell you who they wouldn't put in. You won't put in the chubbies these days. Oh, actually, they might do.
No, the fatties, I know, but that's basically that.
The fatties will be the heroes.
The good thing is they can get rid of that, because if you do it in Cursed Earth, you don't need to have them, because that's the city living, remember?
Yeah.
So
No,
they could have the franchise wars. Remember what they did in the Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes one, Demolition Man. The Taco Bell, they were the ones that won the franchise wars. Remember, 2000 AD did it before. They had Burger King and McDonald's. So they had all the guys dressed up as in McDonald's outfits, basically with their guns, and basically that was their clan, the McDonald's clan, fighting against the Burger King and stuff like that.
Well,
but they could have so much. But even a movie, so I would do my next movie to establish it again is do a hot dog run. So you've got Carol Urbane, you have got 6 other people, young people. So you can have 3 males, 3 females, you can have anything, because they can tick any boxes they want, because when it comes down to judges, nothing matters except the law. So as long as they've got, and this is them going through their final test.
Yeah.
The final test before the one Anderson did. So this is their out and thingy, just to see how they can handle themselves. Hence the reason why they take them into the Cursed Earth. So you've got 7 people, and then you can have mutants, you can have wild animals, you can have whatever attack them, and it's a battle thing, fairly done in the cheap, because you could do a lot of CGI, whatever, but you could also have a load of people done up as zombies, and you could footsies, you could anything. You can actually do a lot, and it wouldn't be expensive, because you certainly don't need big sets. They can film it out in the middle of California in the desert.
Well, that's true. California truly is the cursed earth at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You look at Judge Minty, the web one, superb. He did the long walk.
Yeah.
If you imagine 6, they did a hot dog run at that type of value of how they produced that was so well done. They also did the Johnny Alpha one as well, which was another superb one.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. There's so much out there that if it was me, I would start small, the hot dog run. Then I would do, like they did the attack the block type thing. That's just another one, establishing judges going through their training. Then I would do one maybe following a judge on their first day, where they're literally just been thrown into the meat grinder themselves, even though they've gone through a meat grinder with a more experienced one. And then you could actually introduce them to footsies, you can introduce them to fatties, you can introduce them to anything, the ape gangs, whatever. You could do that and gradually build it up, just following this group of the same people as they grow. And the good thing is, they can age. So as they age, then the next movie, they're maybe 5 years older. Then the set changes slightly because it's 5 years thingy. So there's different people there, and because you're giving them this is 5 years into their career. This is 10 years. And if somebody says, "Well, I don't really want to come back," that's fine. That judge got killed in the last week.
Or they just got moved.
No, they get killed. It's easy because judges.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they yeah.
If they say, I can't do this movie, would love to do another one, but no, I don't want to get thingy. No problem, kill off. Yeah. But you know what I mean. So the thing is, they could do that, and then introducing new characters here and there. They could do it and build up a franchise. It doesn't need to be done in the very expensive. It could be done with doing things like the hot dog run, the cursed earth, and this. Keep it to smaller stories as well. So, but they could do that if they were building a couple of movies, and it doesn't need to be expensive. And that's the thing.
Oh yeah, there's so many things you could do with them. And the problem is the problem is it's got 50 years of established stories, plus all the ancillaries to that. You've got other places you could set. You've got other settings you could use.
Yeah,
it's almost too much. You know, it's a little bit like there's so much in there, and at the same time you could just do it as you could do it as a series of street judges. There's literally just street judge.
Yeah. I'm just looking to see if I can find that zombie movie.
Peter, my understanding is that the rights to Judge Dredd, I think Rebellion Comics still own it. And the guy that owns Rebellion Comics has a YouTube channel called Modern History. He is a medieval reenactor, and he gives every indication of being quite a solid guy. It's in good hands there. As for who would actually make it,
he's done a couple of videos about it as well.
Yeah,
and Peter, it is Army of the Dead. You're right, it is. So I just.
Oh, we've lost Peter. He's kicked himself. Yay! Yes.
It did.
And here he comes again.
It basically, you did. I double checked it. My system is actually going weird. It is going really weird. I think me dropping that and it basically it's set something. I must have actually, as I moved the mouse, because a key must have actually still been pressed.
Maybe something stuck to it or something. Yeah.
Keep stuck move my keyboard out the way. Don't touch it. But Army of the Dead, I checked, and it's Army of the Dead.
I think I'm getting a bit of an echo there as well. Yeah, I am.
Oh dear.
I don't know if maybe you've got the if it's clicked open the.
No, the other one is still muted. So I'm not hearing anything.
I'm not hearing anything now. No, it's fine now.
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe it was just, I don't know, because none of the other windows were actually giving me sound. So I wasn't hearing anything at all. It was silent in my room, except when you were talking, obviously. But
I don't know. Yeah,
those two would be great.
Dog and Road Trooper. I've never been certain which
Dog
universe either.
There is one online, a Strontium Dog one, and the guy who plays Wolf is super as well. It's really good, and I think it was the same guys that did Judge Minty.
There's a few I managed to find from various online sources. There are a few actual 2000 AD full-on novels as well.
I've got a load. I've got a few of them.
there's a load of Judge Dredd, Judge Anderson ones, but outside that, there's a few, 2 or 3 Snotty Dog ones. There's a couple of ABC Warriors.
Yeah, there is.
I think
But
there's Road Troopers.
Peter, just go to the Judge Minty YouTube channel. So it's at Judge Minty, and you should basically see the videos. So if you go into the YouTube and let's see if I can go in and find it myself, because it is the Judge Minty's the name. So
yeah. The thing is, these days, as the rabbi keeps saying these days, with AI these days,
yeah,
that's got to be in some ways what some of these creators are absolutely. That's possibly going to be why you're getting some of this from Disney. They're not making them to make the films. They're not making them to make money. They're making them so they can keep, so they put something out so they can keep the rights because they know that.
They basically did the same with there. It's there, Peter. I've put it in the chat. Judge Minty. The videos he's got up. He's got Judge Dredd ones. He's got obviously Judge Minty ones, and he's also got the Johnny Alpha. It's basically it's just a test bit, so there's a couple of minutes of it here and there. But I have seen the whole thing. Some of the stuff is really good.
Yeah, I think I've seen the Road Trooper one.
I've seen it. I've not seen the Road Trooper one. I've seen Judge Minty.
Sure I've seen something because it's Road Trooper because it. I think it's basically unless I think someone else where it starts off with Autumn, where he starts off where he picks everybody else up.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
There is Rogue Trooper, the Quartz Massacre, Beyond and After VFX. So they were showing them making it. So there's the bits with the VFX. So I'll need to actually double check because he's got the full Judgment. It's got the full Judgmenty on that, and it's got bits and pieces of different outfits and how they were building up as they were making it. And then there's screen tests for the first look at the costume for Johnny Alpha and stuff like that. There's clips of each of that. I have seen the full Johnny Alpha one, but I can't actually see it on there.
I got a feeling this one, so I'm not sure it was a Judge Minty's channel that I remember seeing this one on. I think maybe several of them.
Yeah, but no, Judge Minty. They basically the work they put into it, how well it's done, and how great it looks. To me, that's how I want to see my judges. Right, I'm not going to actually click on any of these, but share the screen. See, try and actually get something there. Right. Now look at that. Look at that outfit. I want my judges to look like that. So
yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And look, there's the Johnny Alpha. And
wow.
You know what I mean? Looks really good. And that's just, and then you've got bits and pieces. Look at that judge outfit. You know what I mean? That's what I want the judges to look like. And there's Johnny Alpha there as well. It's just basically, it's just clips. There's other stuff they've done. Like the 3D model of the Soviet judge helmet. Las Vegas judge slot machine, stuff like that. It's just basically bits and pieces. Mikasmo test rig and stuff like that. So they're basically doing a lot. Like even the judge, the ships and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, look how well that looks.
Yeah.
And look at Wolf there as well. He just looks the part. But it's just they've done. They're absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's just some of the stuff they've done. I mean, they're even doing like there's introductions. They're talking about it with the fan film. They're even showing you how they actually went around it with the 3D design. Then you've got that bit there, which is the before and after the green with the effects added in. So they're even showing clips of bits and pieces. But I would definitely give Judge Minty a sub. And that's coming from us. And considering they're over 8,500 subs, so it's not as if my Migo one would actually do it, but I would definitely. They need to actually get the subs just because they've got so much good stuff. They've got a Kickstarter coming up called The Bogeyman. It's a comic, and it looks good as well. So I want to see them do the next Judge Dredd movie. I want them to actually move away from the motorbike gear of Carla Baines Judge and actually design this new fiber outfit, which it's bullet resistant, but it needs a power supply, so they build it into the shoulder pads or the shoulders. So they put the thing over it, and then they actually make one of the electronic controllers actually look like an eagle. So that gives you a justification of how they can actually have the eagle and actually not look as if they've got any armor, because the outfit could be an electronic shield, basically bullet resistant, not as bullet resistant or better than the flak armor they were wearing, the motorbike gear. Better than Stormtrooper armor, but not as good as what was the ones? Was it the droids? The battle droids that would roll up with the force field and shoot through it. But it's basically, just think about it, they could make it a carbon fiber outfit that moves, and then it needs the electronics, so that gives you justification of having the eagle and the big shoulder pad, because that is armor to protect the circuitry on it.
Yeah.
And that's you basically saying, well, now you can look as comic book as you want, because you don't need to look as if you're more the armored up. Like the modern police of today. You want to look police of future. So there you go. Next movie, they basically send the judges out on with their new outfits on.
Yeah, I mean, you can have all that stuff. I mean, as long as you explain why the stuff works, why the
yeah, I mean,
body armor.
I'm definitely not saying I've got the brains to actually write anything or do anything, but to me,
I'm saying you're right.
Idea,
yeah,
but
exactly.
you look at any of us, we can come up with a better idea than some of these writers and stuff like that. We might not be able to actually follow it through, but there's an idea for someone who's got the talent to write. You say, right, do them like a comic book, and this is the reason behind it. Now write it in. Simple as that. And to me, it's not a bad description.
No, but that's because we've got the interest.
Yeah,
you know, we've got the we've got the experience, we've got the interest to say, okay, well, and something perhaps that just occurred to me that isn't so common with younger people. Is that, I mean, I've mentioned before the thing with from Mork and Mindy where his grandma, where the grandma says, we've gone from the first man flight to walking the moon in her lifetime. Older people have seen more change in their lifetimes than younger people. You know, you get, we laugh, but you get today's whatever the letter of the alphabet now up to now, generation November or generation Omega or whatever. Kids growing up today, they are, you know, we could almost joke about them having mobile phones glued to their hands. They probably cannot even conceive of the idea of being out of contact.
Do you want to see my earliest?
Those who have grown up to it.
Do you want to see my earliest mobile phone?
Yeah, exactly. So whereas those
talking about with a bit of coins going up to the phone box and going, hello.
Yeah, I mean, those was, depending upon exactly what circumstances you come, but anybody over about 40 can remember when you had to have only landlines existed, realistically speaking. I mean, I remember way back in the late 70s, early 80s, when I was in the territorial army in the signals, we had.
I'm a weekend soldier.
I was. Well, I was scared. Yes, I was a weekend soldier.
Billy Connolly.
I was just saying, unlike Billy Connolly, I was
thousands of Smarties for £25.
Yeah, but unlike Billy Connolly, I wasn't the power. I was a signaller. But I remember we had a thing, and I remember we had. Like I said, this is what 40 odd years ago now. We had mobile sort of like a little bit like mobile phones were coming in. I mean, we had phones which literally was a wire phone. I don't know if you've seen the picture, but it's a wire. It's a wire. You literally plug it to 2 bits of one, and it's wherever the phone's laid, you put the phone in. But these were radio phones, and we had to actually explain to the officers using them. Not saying the officers were stupid, but yes, sir, you're using this and you're using it like a phone, but do remember it's a radio. It therefore broadcasts, it therefore can be intercepted. It may well be coded, but you want this, but don't treat this as if it was a private phone, sir. Because that's what it looked like. And and if you weren't technically minded at the time, you're not a scaly whose whole life revolves on various ways of passing information. It looked like a phone, so you pick it up. If I remember right,
we all watched MASH.
Yeah, but I mean, if I remember right, I think I genuinely can't remember the details how they work, but it was radio behind it. But because you look like you're talking on the phone. Your brain said, your experience said, I'm talking on a phone. The only person that's like to hear me is the person on the other end. Because I'm thinking on a phone, I'm talking on a phone on one end of a wire and someone's the other end of the wire. And unless someone's tapped into that wire, yes, you're talking one-to-one, but that's only because the person at the other end is tuned into your radio, in effect. So the technology changes. But these days, kids probably literally couldn't even understand the concept of not having.
What do you mean I can't move away from the wall? Can I not actually just go next door? No, it's actually attached to the wall. You cannot go through to another room while you're talking. You have to be in the same room next to the phone. You can't walk away. It's not as if it's hands-free.
Yeah. Don't worry. If you were away, though, if you're lucky, someone might have left a message for you if they rang when you were out.
Yep. But it is true. Basically, even growing up, right? The thing is that my first job, I got my first email address and I got access to the internet using Cello, which was a text-based internet browser.
I remember
that was before Netscape Navigator or Netscape, which came in. Then it was Netscape Navigator and then Netscape Communicator, and that was even before Internet Explorer. Well before Internet Explorer, I was still using Windows 3 and Windows 3.11, which was for groups.
Yeah, remember that.
And I was using Cello, which was a DOS or a text-based browser for the internet. So no YouTube. If I wanted to see a picture, I would go click and then sit there for 5 minutes where it went and downloaded the picture line by line by line.
Yeah. I mean, my second job, with my second job was with a hi-fi company, and I was a computer operator, and my boss was the financial director. as in my immediate boss. So I reported to the front. This was how new computers were. Half the manuals were still in bubble wrap in his office.
Mm-hmm.
And the computer I used was an IBM. It was a fucking great cream coloured little box, the size of probably larger than the desk I'm sitting at the moment. Big screen in front of it on which the paper came up. It was a dot matrix printer, and the paper was musical state 5 by stage. The screen was on it was a little thing like an A4 envelope on the side.
Green.
Green on black. And when you wanted to do something as complicated as sort data, you had to put in a 7.5-inch floppy disk and load something. There weren't even any databases when I first started. I say, I remember going to 1991. I'm not told this one before. Going to Cape Kennedy, in Florida, Cape Canaveral or whatever it was at the time, and it going to the launch control, and them saying about the computers that actually ran not the ones that ran the Apollo itself, but ran launch control, because obviously the one that ran Apollo were on the machine, were on the computer, and the other ones were mission control at Houston, which was launch control. But saying, if you've got a 1991 era digital watch, you've probably got more computing power than this box here, and this is the one that launched Apollo 11. It just had to do one thing very quickly. It didn't do that much.
I remember getting a radio, not a CB radio, just a bog standard radio. Me and my friend, who was the next close down, and you're still having to go up to as near the wall as possible, hoping that they could reach that far, just so you could talk to your friend the next close along. Then getting CB radios, talking to people down the street. Woohoo! And if you got anywhere outside your immediate area, or basically we stayed in Glasgow, so if we could get East Kilbride, that was a good signal. We were getting a good bounce.
Well,
Other than that, you were basically not talking to people within maybe a 5-10 mile radius.
Well, I remember.
You're quiet again.
So I moved away from the mic a bit. Well, I remember I was. I said I was World Signals. Most of my time, I was radio operator, or I was communicating. So I said when I was communication centre, which was office. Well, not office. The office in question was quite often a big box on the back of a lorry, a 4-ton lorry. But we had our big radios, the big D11s, which took this is the case. If you had a transmitter, you had a receiver, you had 4 or 5 bits for the radios and this sort of thing. None of this little stuff, and the D11s could actually reach around the world, because you use Skyway, which bounced off the ionosphere.
Yeah, my old man was a ham operator. CQ and all that.
Yeah.
I could never get into it because I'm having to learn all the code. But my old man was a ham operator. He went to the Nautical College to get his ham operator's license. You had to go. You couldn't just get a camera, a mic, and actually just switch on YouTube to talk to people. To get a ham operator so you could talk to people on the other end of the world, you had to get a license. The ham operator's license.
I think the Charlie codes, Charlie Quebec and the rest of it, they were civilian ones. All the codes I remember were 3-letter codes. Or if you want to ask a question, it was INT for interrogative. Partly because it was mainly it originated from Morse.
Yeah.
So you did the Morse. So you have ZBZ is one I remember most, which is signal strength. And that's where you get the proverbial 5x5. What 5x5 actually means is full strength and completely clear, because you've got 2 different things there. You can have a really good signal, really powerful signal, but you've got a lot of interference on it, or you can have a really quiet signal, but no interference. You can hear it. It's just very quiet, very weak. So we had those. I remember ZBZ's the one I remember. The Woe Riders, QRH.
Yeah. But you look at even now in TV shows, sci-fi. We'll talk sci-fi. It's not the new generation that is designing what sci-fi looks like. It's the old generation. You look at Star Trek, the original. Remember, they had all the banks and it was all buttons and doot, doot, doot,
Yeah.
doot, doot, click. And then there was looking through a wee screen,
Before
and then there was
the,
then they had the to fly. They had to use move and switch that around and do that. It basically it was like somebody says, "Well, we're using these big magnetic tapes. We'll need to do it. Well, why don't we have it all buttons and you press the buttons and it does this stuff?" So that's why all that looked the way it did. Because you look at a lot of the stuff at sci-fi, it was flashing buttons. It went on to Star Trek, and then even Doctor Who with the TARDIS, the console, and it had the screen up and stuff like that. But you even look now when they go into a spaceship, it's meant to be futuristic. It might have 3D graphics and stuff like that, and even the next generation stuff like that. You would see the teleporter they're doing instead of a lever, they're using the lights and stuff like that. So, and they're basically going flip, zoop, zoop, and it's actually on a flat screen and stuff like that. Even the ones in the newer crap, they're 3D and they're basically interacting with the 3D themselves. It's the same as like Iron Man, whoop, 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 with the 3D animation and stuff like that. But in reality, if we were going to build a spaceship, would we have all that? No. Everybody would be sitting there at their desk going, "That's it sorted, Captain." You know what I mean? There wouldn't be big steering wheels and 50,000 lights behind me. There would be somebody on a tablet going, "Sheep." Right.
Yeah. I noticed.
Where do you want to go? Right. Right. That's off.
That's something I noticed in rewatching even Babylon 5, where they've got the bits where you've got the scenes like where they're in the council, and they're coming up with an agreement for defence or whatever. And you got Ivanova. They got Ivanova hands out these folders to each of the aliens with the agreement. And I'm thinking, you do that now.
Yeah.
And it would automatically translate it into the alien language, because the alien would be programmed to translate. It will be programmed. I'm thinking, that's now. I mean, it's like so many of these things.
But as you think about it, you look at sci-fi, even things like that. Anytime they were on a bridge or in a station or whatever, there was all these big screens and these big levers and buttons. In reality, if you look the way things are going, somebody would be on a phone going. They wouldn't have big screens and stuff like that.
I would be tempted to say on an Xbox controller that might be in
poor taste, yes.
Yeah, but that although I mean,
in effect,
it makes it's the point that it does actually make the point. I mean, it's really tragedy that it is what it is, but that is the point. It's exactly as you say. Even now, that's what it is. Controlling something like that is controlled from a control or something. Yeah, exactly.
In effect, you think about it. I could drive my car from this if it was set up. I don't need a big steering wheel, indicators and all that. I just need a left and right button. I just need buttons to actually do the indicator, so I could sit back and go and drive my car from here.
Well, I mean,
in effect, that's what you could do now. But so, do you think they would have all those big flashing lights and whistles?
No. I mean, I think there's a part of the reason for doing that is you've got to make it a control bridge. It's got to look like something.
It has to look like a control bridge. It has to look as if they're doing something. So hence the reason why you've got all the lights and they're all giving it all this and across the whole desk, and as if they're flying the ship by pressing all these buttons and doing something fancy. But in effect, yeah, they could gear my joystick and goes
Yeah.
and a button. It makes no difference because it's not as if somebody has to do the calculations on the fly. You do this and yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Is the thing that gets me. That you notice, not necessarily, but with current stuff, but certainly if you watch sci-fi in particular from a while ago, a decade or 2 decades, whatever ago, is how much they underestimate progress. You get I mean, there was I remember seeing an interview or a comment from William Shatner saying that he was standing, he was in a slate somewhere, and he noticed that people were sort of pointing at him, and he didn't realize, he didn't click immediately until he realized he was actually using a flip mobile phone.
yeah.
So you got, because
One of the flip phones. It was great.
yeah, great, yeah. Have you not heard what my text alert is?
Yes.
But
Do you know the thing that I think Star Trek only failed one bit was they would do that and talk like that. To me, they should have done that and talk like that. It would have been.
Well, then again, how many people? Now, if I get a phone call right now, depending what I'm doing at home, my phone's
I know. Times I'll just go hands free and I'll sit it in front of me and talk.
Yeah.
However, remember there was times they were doing that. They were going, right, Scotty, do it now.
Yeah.
Yes, Captain. And basically, that would be when you would be doing that. Yeah,
you
could have a button you could press in it so everybody can hear you.
Yeah.
But on the whole, they should have done that. Or else they would do that and actually press the button to do loudspeaker so everybody can hear them. But on the whole, you would know that they should do. It would have been nicer because people understand telephone and they understand that they were doing that so you could hear what they were saying. So they could have just given it a bit like the bits when they're meant to be quiet and he goes, and suddenly it doesn't make a sound. Wait a minute. Every other time you've done that, it went, and you're sitting there thinking, that's not how it works. You either do it or don't. You can't actually suddenly have it quiet when you want it to. And then you're talking to somebody and they're talking away and the people standing next to you can hear them and go, it's interesting, Captain. But next time it's a case of, right, Scotty, do it now. Yes, Captain. And nobody can hear him. Come on, buggery. That's what I'm saying. It's that type of thing.
Oh yeah, so, what I'm saying though is that they do that, and next stage up will be,
as I said, instead of going, they should have done that or that, and literally to do the hands-free so they could all talk at it.
But what I'm saying though is that they do that is that the big thing about science fiction is it underestimates. I mean, you look at it. That's, as I said, the thing is that they're doing that, so they're saying in 300 years' time, that's the type of technology.
Yeah.
Sorry, 10 years after that TV show's been made, the lead actor is doing exactly that in real life. You've got you've got the bracelets that on Blake 7. The comms bracelets, right?
Yeah.
In God knows how many thousand years in the future that is.
Babylon 5.
Yep. But yeah, Babylon 5 are those ones. We've now got apparently phones which you can use as a watch or vice versa. Or they,
so you have a headphone. You have one headphone in, which could be quite almost invisible.
Yeah.
And Babylon. That's you doing your Babylon 5.
Or Space 1999. You got your link. Whatever they called it, the big
comlink with the telly on it as well. So
with the telly on it there, right? And you got and the connections and all that there. Okay. Or nowadays you've got a phone that you can scan. And I mean, I was in the shops shopping yesterday. And people are paying on their phone.
They go beep.
Yeah, exactly. Or they've got and then you've got your telephone. I'm saying this. The thing is, a lot of the time the science fiction underestimates how quickly things goes. And then, over the other thing, you've got talking of James Burke. Someone mentioned, I think Peter mentioned earlier on, Tomorrow's World.
Mhm.
Where are my flying cars? I was promised flying cars by the 21st century.
Yeah,
Where are
and
they?
we basically remember we all had jetpacks, and I have seen ones where people are using it. It's basically a set of hand things, and they go and fly up. But it's
What?
I want them. We're saying to get me to work in an hour in less than 10 minutes instead of
Yeah,
actually sitting in the car for an hour.
I have seen images or pictures of the military developing jetpacks for use on things such as shipboarding. How advanced they are, one is not going to know.
Well, I
But
saw a video of one about they were looking at it for get up the side of a mountain when they can't. The ineffective place where a helicopter couldn't land.
yeah,
So basically, it's the same idea. It's a pack, and it's basically jets. So
yeah,
it's not fly. It's not like the rockets where you saw the ones. Remember in James Bond, and it was the jet. It was coming out of the back
yeah,
at his ass. This one is it's basically air jets, and you're
yeah,
using your hands to steer. It's basically Iron Man in effect.
yeah. But no, what I'm saying is, it's they do these things so that they either overestimate or they underestimate technology by hundreds of years sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to things like communicators, or you see these things are going to happen in 20, 30, 40 years' time, and no, they set out and happen 60 years later.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think it's all to do with you look at some of the books. It was written in the 60s, 50s, and 60s. They're talking about long range faxes,
Yeah,
and it's because that was the height of technology at the time, and things
yeah,
get dated. And that's why when you're doing sci-fi, don't link it to what you're doing just now.
no. Well,
And that's
yeah,
the thing.
exactly. And the lessons, I either take the technology as far as it can, or you kind of have to come up with almost a new technology. I mean, if you think about it, how if you were making something in the 1960s, and you actually, how fantastical were the idea of things like the communicator? They probably had to set it 200 years in the future because at the time people just would have thought, you know, people were just about getting used to everyone having a phone.
Yeah,
You
but it's the
know,
same as like, it was the same as now, right? If we were actually going to say, right, we're designing a sci-fi show. We've been given all the specs basically, but you have to design the technology.
yeah,
It's 300 years from now. Okay, go. Right. Well, nobody's walking about with tablets or stuff like that. They basically got the Robocop plug themselves in and do everything because the way they're going, everything will be cybernetics because they're already starting to do that.
yeah,
Well, if you're taking that to the extreme, then people have got implants and they just go, and then they basically they can just actually do everything. So in effect, your ship is your guy sitting there and they'll go, right, Mister Sulu, take us to Earth, and they go 10 minutes, Captain. You know what I mean? Doing
yeah,
nothing because he's just plugged himself in, and
yeah,
he's the one who's got the technology. He's got the coordinates and all that. Then you go to the communicator, and she just goes, right, hold on. Right, I've sent the message because she's
yeah,
got the technology built in to
mm,
communicate and send via the communication system. So it's no as if Uhura's going to be sitting there pressing buttons and trying to talk to people. She just goes, right, I've sent the message. It's that type of thing, and you know what I mean.
yeah,
It's so things are. How do you do that in a TV show? They'll go, that's not good. We need it for people to actually sit down and go,
yeah.
"Ooh." Okay,
You
right.
need.
Well, there's a 3D thing that you stand. Did you ever see? Oh, what was it? It was Ricky. No, Ricky Gervais. It was about the British Air Force, the British Space Navy. Hyperdrive.
No.
Oh God, Miranda Hart was in it. The one it was in with what was the guy who was in with? Is in the zombie one. Oh God, my brain's going thing. I can't even remember the one that played Scotty in Star Trek. The new guy. He did the zombie one.
I know that. Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg, right? Remember Simon Pegg and Nick Frost? Well, Nick Frost is the commander in it, and Amanda Hart plays his number one. And their android, the computer, basically flies it, and she just stands there and goes, and all this stupid stuff. It's basically, that's the whole design. It is an absolute weird British comedy about the only one spaceship, the British spaceship. Basically, the British Space Navy taking Britain's thing, and there's one of them. Basically, the rest of them are all.
It seems to be about 15 years old. I've got a couple of episodes up here already on.
So I've got the box set. It is weird as hell. So some of the aliens are all in inflated orange jumpsuits, and it's they've did it. It's a very deliberate look to the thing. It's meant to look cheap. They've designed it in a way that is meant to look like weird as hell because they don't take themselves seriously. They do it for fun. And even some of the aliens, they're all wearing all these inflatable, it's like water wings, but it covers their whole arm. It's literally, you can see the joints in the plastic and stuff like that. It is weird as hell, but it is fun. But that type of thing is, to me, it's a case of, right, well, you want the pilot, you can't have the pilot just sitting there going, right, what are you doing? Oh, I'm guiding. I'm just actually sitting here watching through.
Yeah, well,
So they need somebody to actually make it look as if they're doing something. There's something in front of them to touch, so people can see. So for the TV side, I understand that's why a lot of this stuff is out there. Because as I said, that hyperdrive where the android controls the ship, and she's giving it the woo. She's meant to be firing, and it's like it was like the Babylon 5 pilot, didn't you go? The Rangers.
Remember? I was about to say that. Yeah, then you get that absolutely stupid kung fu drive.
Yes, exactly. It's the same idea, but she's doing it for piloting the ship. Yeah, and it's the same idea as she's sitting there. It's because they've seen the one with the Mbari standing there and watching the battle all around them because of their technology. So they could follow a ship and go like that and follow the ship because that's where it is in relative to their ship and see that. So they've decided, well, maybe what we'll do is we'll have somebody and they can fire in any direction. That's not how it worked. That's why there was the big problem with the gun ports opened.
Yeah.
It started the Mimbari War. Yeah. Which implies gun ports, which implies people firing. Not one person going boop, 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 beep, 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 and all that's crap. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It made the same idea. They wanted to go away from somebody sitting there going because that's 1940s. That's Star Wars. That is a bomber pilot in the Second World War. But they want to get away from that. And what did they do? They went and you're sitting there thinking it's ridiculous because they had to have. They couldn't have just somebody sitting at a keyboard going, right, I've killed 3 of them, Captain. Yeah, I mean, they couldn't have that, so they had to. And I can understand why they do, like the Star Wars, where they basically go up and when they're doing that, the guns are going their own way. So that, and the gun seems to be panning around, following this ship, whereas he just seems to be doing that, and it's almost like they're disjoint to how they're meant to look. Because they see the actors doing something. I can understand that aspect of it.
But that was that.
In effect, somebody would be sitting there, like firing stations, and they've got the camera, and then they just going, right, we'll move left and we'll move right, we'll fire right, fire there. And that would be what they would be doing. In reality, it would all be done by something
I
like
mean,
that.
in reality, it'll be computer versus computer because human reactions aren't fast enough.
Yeah, but in reality, if they were
Why-
doing it, if you had a particular job, your job would be right. You're in charge of that gun port. You're not sitting there. You're basically sitting there with a screen, and you can you can actually just use your finger to make it track to wherever you want.
Yeah,
As you do that, you press the button with your thumb, and so you've got basically a phone, and that's you. So how do you do that on TV? You don't. It has to be something. So then you'll say, right, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to sit in here and you're going to give it a boom, 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 because you're controlling all the guns, and that's where it becomes ridiculous. So
yeah.
basically, if somebody's about to sneak up behind her, what does she go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous, but it's just, I can understand why they want to try something different, and I can understand why they go the ridiculous, but they don't think about how it looks. Me, I would have preferred if they had it. They were in a 3D thing, and they had something. There was the same idea as if they were a Council of Nine standing watching the battle, but they were in a room. It's a similar idea, and it's their part of the ship, and they've just got not 3D, a 3D of that, and they've just got a controller, and it's almost like that. And
Yeah.
so basically, all they're doing is got a wee controller, and they're pointing it to an area based on what they can see. And as they do that, it fires. So you could actually have somebody just standing in a 3D room instead of lying there and flying, going boo, 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 boo. You could have somebody just going boo, 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 and doing that, and it would look more realistic.
You're saying the gunners need to choose, but choose quickly because you're fast running out of targets.
Yes, but you know what I mean. It's a case
Yes.
of yes,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
But it's one of those things that
As Peter said, it's got to be the audience got to be able to see what's happening.
yeah.
And it's like it's very much the
That's exactly what I was saying. It's
Mm.
basically you have to, no matter what you think your technology is going to be in a couple of 100 years, if you're doing a TV show about that, then you can't portray. You have to portray it in a way that
Probably
people.
you're probably going to underestimate the technology, but it's got to be a case of something that much I hate to use the phrase that modern day audience will understand.
Yes, exactly. Well, if they're talking about communication systems in 200 years, they might actually call it MyTube, so people can get this idea that you've got a system that you can talk to anywhere in the world just by firing up a screen or something. Like instead of Facebook, they'll call it MyBook or something like that.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So they basically, people can go, they're talking about something like Facebook, or they're talking about something like YouTube,
Yeah,
or they're
exactly.
that, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
It's the same idea. That's what I was saying. It's like Iron Man, but it's the same idea. It's stuff that's already out there. You get people who will go up to a screen and go like that and tap the screen and do that, and it'll flick to the next monitor. It's the technology's no advanced. However, yes, you want it to look advanced, but you want it to be relatable. So they've got something that can be done now, and they just do it as if it's 3D or it's holographic, and people go, "Oh, technology." It's the same as like playing 3D chess or 3D board games where two monsters are attacking each other, and you're going, and in effect, they're playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
yeah,
In Star Wars with these two monsters, right? But they did it as a 3D version. Did it look great? It looked a wee bit thingy, but then again, it was meant to look that way because it's not as if this is a ship of a line. This is just a ship. It's just got a wee old console for playing games, and
yeah,
it was just thingy. So, but you get away with that, so people understood it because how many people at that time had kids or even themselves had those type of robots where you and
yeah.
you punching and stuff like that. But so they basically did the same idea. Then they did the same with it was a battle. It was a World War II battle, and they basically just copied that. for a lot of the stuff for Star Wars.
Well,
So it was basically giving people what they already knew, but giving them it looking sci-fi. And it's the same
well, I mean,
now.
the thing, as I said, I mean, it was a lot of like someone said, like, why does the Nostromo look like a truck in space? Because that's what it is. You know, and that is what they were. It wasn't. This is one of the weird things. Well, not necessarily weird, but I was talking about space. Most science fiction, most science fictions where you have military space, the spaceships. Well, we call them ships. They will be a space navy. They will be the navy in space, because the navy is used to large vessels which are completely self-contained and go on their own for weeks and months at a time without any.
Yeah, but you'll also
but most.
But do you know who'll be who'll be their gunners and stuff like that?
Well, but the Air Force.
It'll be the Air Force, because they're used to 3-dimensional.
Exactly what I was going to say. Most navies, yes, you've got a combination, because the navy, I mean, especially the submariners, even more so. Although submariners have got a degree of 3-dimensional awareness of water, but most navies, surface navy, so that's where you've got the self-contained ships. I mean, call them spaceships, we're going at that, but they are mainly used to effectively 2-dimensional warfare. 3-dimensional in as much as, yes, okay, there's an air threat, but they're not used to 360-degree global threat. Whereas an air force is used to the fact that an enemy can go on and come at you from underneath and the rest of it. So from the combat point of view, it's going to be an air force type mentality. But from the ship vehicle company, it's going to be a the naval type point of view.
Mm-hmm. But as I said, it's basically the same idea as that when you're seeing Star Wars, Star Trek, Battleship, Troopers, anything, the two armadas and blow each other up, where in reality that could be done from thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
But for TV it doesn't look good.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is you can go right back. I mean, when it comes to the different terminologies, you go very far back. Go back as far back as the Lensman series. You've got in naval warfare, sort of, kind of from Napoleonic onwards, really. They came up with the idea of the line of battle to get ships passing in line, shooting each other. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Smith in the 40s or whatever it was, he was writing the original letter. He brought that out to the wall of battle, which is a 3-dimensional thing, because it's not just a line; it's a row of lines, and indeed in depth as well, or cone of battle. You know, you've got some people come up with these ideas.
The best one I've seen for that is Babylon 5.
Yeah,
where the Star Furies, they've got the 4 points and they spin round and stuff like that. Did you know? See, I saw one on Twitter. It was about a guy. It's basically a spaceship battle in space, and the guy's going, "Why am I still actually firing my rockets to keep going?" Says the laws of dynamics is an object in motion will remain in motion unless acted on. So I don't need to keep on firing it. So why am I keep on firing it? And it's stuff like that. He's basically he's talking to his computer and he's talking about going, right, but we can't bank. So what? Basically, we either have and he's talking about, and it's just him talking to the computer, and it's all science, and it's basically in a spaceship. He's meant to be in a fighter ship, and he's basically talking to the computer going, this doesn't work, it's funny.
Well, I think Shad did a video 8 years ago now.
What about Babylon 5?
I had a shout all indie base probably, where they're literally about the various space flight, and I said exactly that, is that you don't need wings in space because you're over, because all you've got inertia to overcome. You've got no wings
because he was talking about the Star Furies that got wings added to them so they could fly in the atmosphere. Because up until that point they couldn't fly in the atmosphere because they weren't
they made that point because they had actually picked. I mean, it's one of these weird things when you binge watch something, especially if you've seen it before, you see things you don't miss.
And I do that all the time.
No, what I'm saying is, if you binge watch something, and you see things you don't necessarily notice if you watch it week by week. I mean, I'd thought that they got the Star Furies with the in-atmosphere capability at the end of season 1, where they presented with a new wing. No, they take those on from the Churchill at the end of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got one bit where Sheridan's being checked out on the new fighters, to the point that there's even a bit in one of those ones where he is in a 2-seat fighter. So obviously they were that new that they had the Churchill actually had trainer fighters on it, so it could train new pilots up. Which, you know, like if you've seen sort of 2-seater Spitfire or something, where you got a 2-seater version of a plane that is normally flown with 1 seat. But yes, exactly. But they did that.
And it was actually a submarine. It wasn't to the line in the cannon battle. It was submarines. So that bit in the nebula, when they're passing each other above and below, it's a submarine battle that there.
Yeah.
But it's a similar idea. Because a lot of the movies, they do it along the lines of the old pirate ships or Napoleonic cannons and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do just now, because
pick of the week.
We'll need to start spinning down, shall we say. So we're going to finish. I'm going to in about half an hour. Because I've got a busy day tomorrow. I'm up early because I've got a new field that I'm going to go and detect on, which I think has got a Roman road on it.
Well, I'm trying to work. I'm trying to remind myself how you do VLOOKUP tables in Excel, because I don't know if you noticed, but Tabletop put up a short video on his channel just for me. He's been chasing me up about description for my character, and because my character's had effect on it, which change its stats. What I tend to do is when I do things got a lot of calculations, I'll do them in Excel, and I'm trying to remember how you do it so that.
See, I've taught Excel. I use Excel quite extensively. See, when it comes to lookup tables, I used to go down to one of the girls in finance and say, "Going to show us how to do that again?" Well, every week, because I could not remember how to do it.
I've actually managed. I mean, I'm on Office 2007, so I've got so I just went into help and it said, this version of Office is no longer supported. Neither is your version of Windows. I have. I've downloaded. I've actually got an old PDF of an old secret. So, because what I want to do is I know you can do it. I just don't know how you can do it. Well, basically, what I do is I want to go, what's your stat? Right. Okay. What's the what does that do in the way of your mods? So the table up, but I can't remember how to actually. But I've actually got that page up now. I used to know. I mean, way back 25 years ago, when I was working at the airport, and I was on. We were on what was called annual hours, so you had to do a certain number of hours a year. and I'd actually got a spreadsheet set up in the old Lord knows what version of Word, Excel it was at the time, which literally would calculate stuff over 12 sheets, you know, referring to cross sheets and all the rest of it. It's just I haven't done it in so long that I've got to remind myself how to do it.
Yeah, something I could never remember. Worked in IT, do support, and I used to teach Excel, and I still can't remember it. But
Yeah.
I'm going to show you what I've got. I've got a few. These were free. These were free. I got 4. I've got a load of them, so I'm doing 4. Around the World in 80 Days with Pierce Brosnan and stuff like that. Eric Idle and stuff. Too Late, the Hero.
Wow. Michael Caine.
Henry Fonda.
Oh, the Wild Geese. I got the Wild Geese.
And Maggie Smith, Trevor Howard, and Michael Palin, The Mystery. I've seen this. This is funny. It's just one of those ones. It's almost like a ripping yarn because he plays it so seriously, but some of the positions he's in are just ridiculous. And I've got some DVDs. So
no, surely not. What a surprise!
Just 1 or 2. But I'm gonna live forever.
I'm gonna fly.
The original one, not the
remake.
This is the original.
Yeah, I love that. I've got that as an album. I've got all of the Kids and Famer. Not that I was into it or not, but
I used to have them. I thought it was great.
I've got them as on vinyl.
Yeah.
Even. Oh yeah. Have you read the? Have you read any of the
books?
No, because the second one, the second graphic novel starts on Mars, and you've got H.G. Wells' Martians fighting John Carter and Gulliver Jones. So you've got 3 different Martian classics, which is what LXG did really well. Oh wow!
Yeah, picked that up as well. A collector's edition.
What's in that?
Basically got some extras and stuff like that in it. And the last thing I picked for the video.
Yeah, because his Fight Night 2 was
Colin Farrell, David Tennant's in it. It's only because I saw this, and because of Fright Night 2 last week, I thought, and then I noticed it's David Tennant as well as Colin Farrell in it.
Wow.
So, yeah, I picked that up and I thought, I'll give that a wee go. But I've got another DVD. This is the one I'm saying is the special one, if anybody remembers it, but I'll leave that until last. And I picked up a wee book. Just a wee book.
Just a little one. Oh, wow.
The magic behind the movies. It's basically, look at the text in this. This ain't labs right.
Grief.
Exactly. So you imagine the amount of detail is in this. It is all tiny. It's almost like somebody says to them, "There's too many pages." He says, "Okay, reduce the font to 0.8 instead of 0.12, and then we'll print it out." You're talking about how many pages? 630 pages.
Wow.
And it's tiny. It's 0.8 character writing. Even the wee bits at the back. Look at the detail just on that. But the Ultimate Edition, complete revised and greatly expanded with 1,000 rare photographs as well.
Wow.
So it's all about how their career and things they did, and even photos that he's found. So I'm really looking forward to that. That should be fun to read. That'll take me a good year or 2.
Yeah.
And this is the pièce de résistance. When I saw this, I thought, buying it. Then I says, I wonder how much it's going to cost. And I thought, it makes no difference. Anybody remember that?
I never saw it, but I was aware of it.
I remember watching that in Mysterious Cities of Gold Saturday morning. The complete series.
Wow.
So, I'm so looking forward to that. I've not seen that since literally it never. It's not as if it was ever repeated. Because you know what I mean. Look at the artwork on the as well.
Wow. Good
So
grief.
yeah, so looking forward. Peter never saw it. Come on, I can't believe that's a Saturday morning staple. It was, if I remember right, it was Brazilian, or it may have been Mexico or Spain. It actually did it, and it was dubbed. But it was in Spanish. That's why I was getting that. Basically,
Yeah.
I think it was made either Mexico or Spain. It was made, but I know it's about the mysterious cities will go to. It's South America. However,
Yeah.
I'm sure, and I remember. I just remember watching that and being fascinated with it. But see, when I saw it, I thought, "Oh, I'll have that." Thank you very much.
I'd almost wonder from the cover art if it's actually Japanese. It looks almost anime, just for that one pic.
It looks a bit, but it's not. Basically, it was the. It's not the Aqua Boy, Marine Boy, which was the large Japanese one. So it was large eyes. It was not like that at all.
Right.
It was
I know to say. I mean, it's just that one particular picture looks reminiscent of us here.
I picked one other thing up, and I've been looking for these, and I could buy them online, but I didn't want to buy a nice brand new pair. I was looking for a small set, and I couldn't get a small set. So I picked up a pair of binoculars. £8.
Wow.
So 10 by 50.
I've had a pair of those for God knows how long. I'm not sure even where they are now.
Well, see, the thing is,
I've also got a little set of opera glasses type thing in the car.
I've got three other. I've got a telescope one, which you can. It's got the fitting, so you can put it to your camera phone, and you could actually literally set it up that way.
Wow.
But I think it never. I think one of the lenses must be out of alignment because it's always blurry. Even if I take my time and set it up, it's always there's that bit of blur. It's just then I got I had an old pair which were travel ones. They're only about that size. They're only literally fit my hand, which were perfect. The magnification was like maybe 4 or 5 times, but one of the I'm tempted to actually put a bit of super glue because one of the lens keeps popping out at the bottom.
Oh, right. I mean,
I might do that, and the other ones I've got are cheapos, and literally all they do is multiply it by 1. So you do that, and doesn't matter what you do. If you actually try and focus it, all it does is moves a wee lever up and down. It's not attached to anything. And you basically just do that, and it just gives you a ×2 magnification.
I've got a feeling I actually had mine way back when I was in the TA, and as I say, I mean, I left it about in the mid-80s.
Well, basically, I picked them up today, which was a nice wee thing to pick up. I've been looking for a pair of binoculars. Yeah, I could spend £78 get myself a pair. I could spend about £50 and get a wee travel pair, but do I want to take that chance? At least I said to the lassie, I says, can I see them a minute? Looked across the road, and there it goes. Whoop! I could read the sign in the window across the road. Good enough for me.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yes. So, and that's what I wanted. I wanted something because if I'm sitting in the fields and I basically just enjoy myself, and it's such a quite a good vista around me, I want to actually go, oh, that's the other field that I'm usually on. I wonder what they're doing down there because I can see the farmer. I want to actually just have a look around the area, sitting in my field and just looking at what's around me, because accordingly, when I'm at the north of the valley, if I look to the south of the valley, there's a cairn up at the top. Whereas if I'm in the south of the valley, I'm in the field just below it, but you can't really see it because it's the way the hill goes. You have to see it from across the valley, but it's tiny. So I wanted to see it. And it's things like that I want to actually check out. So I wanted a pair of binoculars that I could just shove in my bag when I'm out metal detecting and just they're there. I was wanting to get the wee travel ones, as I said, but I picked up a wee pair. I saw somebody was selling a wee pair, and I, as I said, I had a wee pair, and they were good ones. And these ones look similar, so I picked them up, and they were cheap as chips. And it was basically, what a waste. Thank Christ they were cheap. And they were obviously cheap. I knew I was going to get. The worst case scenario, I thought, I'll put them away next time one of the rains are up. I'll say, hey, you want a pair of binoculars? It's a toy for the kids. But it's just weird. So I picked them up, £8 for a nice pair of sturdy binoculars. It's not bad. As I said, if I was looking for ones with the same 10x50, you're talking about a fairly okay pair. You're talking about 70, £80.
I mean,
you could buy cheap ones that basically tells you they're plastic.
I was going to say that's just a little bit more than a kilo of cheese.
Mm-hmm. The opera glass. I used to have. Remember the wee? No, the opera glasses. Remember the wee ones? It was like a card thing. You went and it popped up. And the two wee glasses.
Oh Lord, yeah. I mean,
my mum used to have a pair of them. So I basically used to have them in my pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a pair, so they're sort of small. I mean, these are much more than they're plastic. They're not. I don't know if opera glasses is the right word, but they're basically very small, fit in one hand, travel binoculars in a case. So they're not the big 1050s or 1250s or anything like that.
Right. There's a question for you. Was it one of the books? I'm assuming it was the books you were talking about called Guardian in the title.
I think he might have been talking about the cartoon shows.
Oh, the Mysterious Cities of Gold. No, there was.
Maybe well have been. I mean, there were a lot of them about at the time.
Oh, there was a lot of them. I'm actually just looking for this stuff. Hold on a second. Too much junk.
But oddly enough, I mean, unlike a lot of people in our area, I wasn't that. In fact, I'm still not that familiar with anime. I think the first time I came across anime, oddly enough, was the only, I think, film version of the Lensman series. There was a film called Power of the Lens, I think, and then there's a series, and I thought, what? I'd never come across it before. So, of course, I come across this Japanese film, and they're all kids, even though they're meant to be adults. They look like they're kids. And I'm thinking, what? But the representations of some of the aliens were actually pretty close to what I had in my head. Which was unusual.
Yeah.
But there's saying that there's an artist, I don't know if he's still around him, called Wayne Barlow, and he used to do science fiction drawings. I've got it falling apart. I've got a PDF version. He did at least one called Barlow's Book of Extraterrestrials, I think it's called. And basically, he's gone through mainly books, mainly novels, and literally each one he's actually got a little bit about the culture and the race, and then a big full-page painting or drawing of one of that species.
I don't recognize the name of that one at all. Neither do.
Well, I don't know. There were so many. There's also the fact that I think a lot of them had different names, perhaps, depending upon where they were being shown. I mean, obviously, they would have done, because if they were non-English, then the title would probably be changed to English.
Yeah. I'm looking for these, but I can't find my old pair. But right, see, this is the telescope.
All right.
Right, and it's got a wee unit. You basically sit down there and attach it to your camera.
All
And I
right.
thought it's meant to zoom in something like 40, but nah, it's constantly blurred. So I've dug it out. It's basically times 10, or you can do times 300. So it's meant to be, but as you can imagine, it's one of those ones. So you can do wide angle, or basically XGA or X mode, and it tells you the different settings. So it's meant to be a really good one, but I can never get it to focus. Is it just me? Am I just getting blind? And I've got a wee pair, similar idea, similar size to these. Right? This is a wee cheap pair. And look, as I said,
Yeah, mine are very similar to that. Yeah.
But look, that doesn't actually attach to
Yeah,
anything.
nothing's moving. Yeah.
Nothing's moving at all. So it's basically, and it's times 2. That's it. Although it tells you it's a 30 by 60, it's basically just times 2. And it doesn't, and you don't even need to actually focus at anything, because that is it. It's just
Infinity.
magnifying glass.
Focus on infinity. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've got another set like that, but as I said, they're really good quality ones, but the lens at the bottom just keeps popping out. It's in a case. I put it in a case to keep it safe, and I can't remember where I put the case.
Pete did Battle of the Planet. Yeah, Pete. I was going to say, yeah, Battle of the Planet. Yeah. Was that the one where they had helmets that made them look like birds?
Yes, that's exactly it. And they had the wee one. It would go.
It's just as soon as you said, I this vague picture of someone with wings and a helmet.
Yeah, Battle of the Planets. That's exactly what it is. Because the girl was in pink. Surprise, surprise.
Oh,
One of the lead boy was in blue. The big muscle-bound one was in green. The one in purple was the one that actually sort of had a speech impediment. He would go and talk like that. And I think they had.
So it was based Power Rangers.
No, it was similar, more like Thundercats. Remember how you had the one male, one female, 2 males. You had the male, you had Rhino, but you had Snaffle.
Yeah.
Well, they had a thing like that.
I mean, I think a lot of these came out just after I was possibly watching other things. I don't know.
Oh no, I still watched all them, even right up until my teens, late teens. I would watch all them because I enjoyed them. Even then, even when I was getting into the let's go to the pub stage, I still would actually up in the morning and watch them on a Saturday morning because I enjoyed them. Yeah, it was kids' TV, but I enjoyed them. Even when we were at school, we would watch Dr. Snuggles, and people would go, "Really?" I say, "Right, okay, hands up. How many people watch Dr. Snuggles?" And half the guys would go, "Woo-hoo," and the lassies would be going, "Really? You're watching something called Dr. Snuggles?" Because, yeah, we might be guys, but that doesn't mean we actually can't enjoy something which is entertaining, even if it's called Dr. Snuggles. But that's a UK thing. I don't think that ever went to the States.
Well, we mentioned earlier, man, as I've said, my first crush when I was 13, 14 odd was a black school teacher who could teleport, and
see, mine was just a good communication officer.
No, my first crush was Elizabeth Adari in the Tomorrow People. I
was a geek. Remember, I basically was I was watching sci-fi before I was watching anything else.
I mean, me too. I mean, I've often wondered.
See, my dad watched all the old classic sci-fi movies.
My parents didn't, but I've often wondered. I mean, obviously, grew up with Jerry Anderson. I've often wondered, and there's no real way of knowing, I don't think, where the cause and where the effect is on that. Was I born the sort of person who is going to be predisposed to watching science fiction and fantasy, and therefore that's what I gravitated to? That's what I remember more than the likes of Andy Pandy and the Magic Roundabout.
I remember them
Or
as well.
oh, I know I remember them, but I'm saying
Andy Pandy and Looby Loo. Oh,
Yeah.
Andy's trying to get his leg over.
get right into this hamper. I've been on my own for 20 years. I'm going blind. Oh, we're back to Billy Connolly again.
Yeah.
But yeah, but or is it that there was so much science fiction and fantasy and that sort of thing
See,
when I was
I
a kid?
think that's
What I
one
remember.
of the things, because it was geared towards boys, so it was the action, the fantasy adventure. But see, I grew up watching. I remember the early stuff I was watching was Buster Crab as Flash Gordon.
Vaguely remember some of those.
Yeah, I've actually got the Flash Gordon ones. I actually got the DVDs about 6 months to 8 weeks ago.
I
got the box set, the Flash Gordon ones. I've actually even uploaded them to my channel.
I got the first one with what was the actress's name? The blonde actress was is it Jean Arthur? No, I can't remember her name now. The blonde Dale, but then because in the second one it was a different actress, and she went odd. In fact, come to think of it, and I don't think it occurred to me before. Oddly enough, she did a Wilma Deering. She went from blonde in the first season to brunette in the second season, and I think
what are we talking about?
Buck Rogers, the original Buck Rogers.
The original Buck Rogers, yes.
Yeah,
it was
the first one.
It was two different actors.
Whereas Erin Gray just went from wearing blonde hair to a natural brunette in the second series. But yeah, but I remember those. I mean, but we also had things like. Do you remember Freewheelers?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
I remember Chilton and the Wheelies as well.
Yeah, or things like the Jensen Code. I think was one I remember. Where you actually had intelligent, admittedly young adult was obviously rather than primary school kids, but intelligent, good stories, good drama stories. You had that. You had Something of God, which was about a fascist soldiers of God or something. I can even picture the guy that was the lead baddie in that. That was sort of fascist 1990s Britain. You had Tomorrow People, obviously. You had Children of the Stones. God, that one, yeah. You had loads of them. I couldn't. Steve. Sorry about that. Really dust. You had a load of not just science fiction, fantasy. You also had adventure-ish ones, which yeah.
Because I remember even a Saturday morning, you would have things like the Banana Splits.
Yeah.
You would have things like the Mysterious Cities of Gold, Marine Boy. You would have Zorro.
Ulysses 31.
Say again?
Ulysses 31.
Ulysses 31. You would have Skippy. You would have Champion the Wonder Horse. You would have Casey Jones.
Yeah.
You would have I don't think Lassie was ever really on, but you would also have the one it was the French one or a Portuguese one. It was the horses.
The white horses.
Yes.
Spanish, I think, Lipitanas. Yeah, the white horses.
Yeah.
You had the Flashing Blade. You had all that stuff.
Blade,
European stuff that was dubbed into English. Yeah, you had a lot of
the Flashing Blade I remember as well.
It's things like that. The cartoon one that was actually dubbed. Not the Magic Roundabout. There's another one.
You mean D'Artagnan and the Three Musketeers?
No, it was no, not D'Artagnan. It was I think one of the characters was a female with. I got this vague picture in my head of a girl with quite fuzzy.
Is that no Marine Boy?
No,
Japanese.
Yeah, Marine Boy was Japanese. I didn't know it at the time. No, this was. It'll come to me eventually. I'm sure. I just got this picture. I could be misremembering, but I've got this picture of this girl with sort of curly, wavy hair. Name and something. There was a no, it wasn't Belle and Sebastian. Belle and Sebastian was, I think, live action. I can't remember. It'll come back to me something eventually.
But as I said, that's why when I picked up the Mysterious Cities of Gold, I thought,
Yeah.
oh.
Well, yeah.
But
I mean, there was.
Mary, Mungo, and Mitch and stuff
Oh
like that.
Lord, yeah.
Yeah, but see, even the ones that were
Rhubarb.
Rhubarb and custard. Basically, but even ones that weren't actually action orientated, they were entertaining.
Yeah.
Even though some of the storylines and the animation was mediocre.
That might be Peter. That may be Crystal Tips. I may be thinking of
Crystal Tips and
Alistair.
Yeah,
you're right. Some of them. I mean, the White Horse in that they were definitely school holiday ones, rather than.
But even things like Mr. Ben.
Oh, Mr. Ben, the man responsible for a generation of hat lift shoplifters.
But
at the end of every episode, he shoplifted hat.
But even at that, Mr. Ben, you think about it, it was a cheap animated version of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I mean,
it was entertaining, even though
I've got that somewhere on any time Mr. Ben on a cover disc. I've also got a certain TV show regarding which are a number of urban legends regarding the names of the characters. A certain pirate captain.
Yes, Captain Pugwash.
Yeah.
There was, and that is all an urban legend.
It is.
You didn't have Shaft the Cat. You didn't have Roger the Cabin Boy.
No, it was Tom the Cabin Boy. You didn't have a Master Bates. You didn't have Seaman Staines.
No, they were all urban legends.
Yeah. I've got those. The Black Pig, I think was shit, wasn't it? Yeah, got a lot of those came out because the thing is there wasn't that many of them. So when DVDs come out, you can get get every episode of them on one DVD.
Yeah, but remember even videos. When the videos came out, it was a case. I remember when my kids were really young, sitting watching The Singing Kettle. Used people in England and all over the world have no idea. But The Singing Kettle were a Scottish kids. It was like Rod, Jane and Freddie from Rainbow.
Oh, right.
So they would sing. They would sing things like the wee Kukubri Centipede. They would sing, "Oh, you can't fling your pieces at a multi-story flat." They would sing kids ones that are Scottish kids.
I'm now having vague memories of things like the singing ringing tree. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, but the thing is, so the kids with the Singing Kettle. It went that long, right? See the guy who was in it, Artie. He was married to the girl who was in it. So the two of them were the two main ones, right? And then they had another guy who was in it. But it went that long that the guy retired and his son took his part. That's how long they had been doing it.
Wow.
Artie and Phyllis. Was it Phyllis or Phyllis? I think it was Phyllis. Artie and Phyllis were the two, and then he retired and his son took his part. And it was just singing Glasgow songs, kids' songs. Things like, as I said, like you can't throw your pieces at a multi-story flat because 2000 Hungry Waynes will testify to that. If it's butter, bread, or jelly, or if your bread is plain or pan, the odds of reaching Earth are 90 to 1. Or you can't throw your granny off a bus. The wee Kukubri Centipede, things like that. They would sing. If you do Singing Kettle and do it on YouTube, you'll see some of the stuff that my kids grew up loving. I had to take them. I took them to the theatre shows where I was sitting there reading a book, and they were up on the stage, and I'm sitting there going. Basically, the kids jumping about, loving it. But it's that type of thing. But I suppose it would be like us with if we get a chance to actually appear on Rainbow with Rod, Jane, and Freddie, we'd have been jumping about with singing with them because it was singing kids' songs at the time.
Yeah.
Our kids
Well,
loved it. Similar idea.
I remember very vaguely a very, very, very long time ago, before I was old enough to understand how the world works. Going to my parents took me and my sister to pantomime, and I'm not sure which the pantomime was, but the star was Tommy Steele. And I remember, oh dear lordy, itsy bitsy, oh lordy. Susan Spanks on the other hand. And at the end of it, they did, my brain just switched off to what the song was, but at the end of it, they wanted, like I said, God knows how old I was when like I said, I was at a pantomime, right? But, you know, not voluntarily.
Oh, yes, you were.
Oh, no, I wasn't. But they did, I can't remember. But I remember they had a sing-along at the end of it, and purely by coincidence, I'm absolutely sure to this day, the most requested song was the song that Tommy Steele happened to have in the charts at the time. You know, like I said, I mean, I was probably still in single digits. At least maybe a little bit old, I don't know.
I've got a Tommy Steele movie with Benny Hill.
I know he was in
Light Up the Sky. It was
no, not that
World War battery.
Because he was also in the one based on what not many people realise is an H.G. Wells novel. It's Half a Sixpence. Tommy Steele's in Half a Sixpence, wasn't it? Half a Sixpence is actually based on an H.G. Wells novel, History of Mr. Polly.
Yeah.
I think. The
one I've got him in, it's all black and white, and it's based in the Second World War, a light battery. And it was, him and Benny Hill played brothers. So they did. And Ken Roach, remember Mike from Coronation Street.
Ken Roach?
But Mike Baldwin.
Oh, right. I don't know, I never watched Coronation Street, but I know.
He was in it and he got killed in it, so he was dead young in it. There was basically Dick Emery turned up in it and stuff like that.
Was it actually a comedy or was it a...
No,
I was going to say it was a...
There was comedy routines in it because the two of them were meant to be entertainers trying to go on stage, and they would do, but it was definitely not a comedy.
Oh, no, that's one. You said it's a war movie, something. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of you
actually, I did a review of it on my channel, so Light Up the Sky. It was actually, I quite enjoyed it. It was really good.
Light Up the Sky with standard fireworks. There you go. I remember the adverts. They must have done some good. If I remember them all these years later.
See, I remember seeing the Tom O'Connor Cinderella on TV. They must have did it for a Royal Variety or something like that.
I must admit, I'm not.
Do you want to see a really good one? Look up Charlie Drake and Ingmar Davidson. What do you call him?
Jim Davidson
and Charlie Drake.
Interesting combination.
Watch that one.
Don't
watch it with the kiddie winks around.
Right. Oh, well, yes, I can imagine actually.
Charlie Drake is absolutely hilarious. He looks pissed when he's doing it, and accordingly, he just half the time he would just make up his own stuff. It was stupid.
I'm not a theatre goer. No problem. I mean, I think I know. I went to see with the school, we went to see Henry IV Part 1 because we were doing that for
Went with the
for
school.
O levels. And I know when I was
Just a little boy. And sorry, that's another song.
yes, it is, isn't it? Yes.
So we're going to actually be finishing up.
I
So
was going to say, I actually saw, I was in Skegness on on TA camp, and on the weekend I actually went, and I think I actually saw Lena Zavaroni, God rest her. I think I saw Lena Zavaroni at the theatre.
My mum knew her and your parents.
Wow.
We would go to Rossi basically for our summer breaks. My granny had a flat across the road from the Zavaronis, and my mum knew them.
I've only got one question for Charlie Drake.
The Cracksman, Charlie.
No, did his boomerang ever come back?
Yeah, that's actually on. It's on. You can actually find that on YouTube. Come back. But I did the review of Charlie Drake's The Cracksman as well. I love Charlie Drake. He's hello. Just a dead squeaky voice. Yeah. It was just superb. Hello, my darlings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to wonder how many of those would still get on today.
Yeah. But it's just weird as hell that all these big names that people don't know and we grew up with, they were household names. Yeah. You ask anybody nowadays, they'll go, eh? Even some of the big American stars, people have no idea. Because we were talking in work and we were talking, and I am basically Howard Keel. Because one of the girls was talking about a song, and I says, that's from a movie. And she goes, no, it's no. I says, it was a movie with Howard Keel, but he didn't sing it. It was about Mounties. And it was Rosemary. And she says, oh, I didn't realise that song, Rosemary, I love you, that one. And I says, it's from the movie. So basically, it wasn't Rosemary, sorry, it was the song, it was from the movie Rosemary. It was When I'm Calling You. When I'm
yeah.
You. That's it. That's from the movie with Howard Keel. And somebody says, who's Howard Keel? And I'm sitting there going, it's not as if it was just like maybe like Charlie Drake. So people in the UK may have known Charlie Drake if they like their comedies.
Yeah.
Talking about Howard Keel wasn't it like maybe up there with the names like John Wayne, which were household names, but it's not as if he was an unknown.
He was a big name when it came. I mean, he didn't just do musicals.
I know he did. I mean, he did Seven Brides of Seven Brothers. He did Calamity Jane. He did Rosemary, but he also did a lot of. He did westerns. He did loads. But that's what I'm saying. But for some reason, people are going.
Kiss and Kate. I mean, he was in the one I remember from the one I mainly remember most from him was Calamity Jane, because my late father was a big fan of Doris Day, and I like Doris Day songs as well. I used to have loads.
I love Doris Day. Calamity Jane is one of my favourite movies. So it's just she's just so superb. And Calam, she basically just the way she would do it and then transform into Calam. Basically, she was just such a great actress.
Oh, she was, yeah.
Day of the Triffids. Oh, yes, and I was in the Day of the Triffids.
He wasn't. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But when somebody says, "Who's he?" I've never heard of him, and I'm sitting there thinking, really. And that's when we started saying, if you heard the so and so, they had never heard of Doris Day. They had heard of John Wayne. They hadn't heard of God, who was it? Bette Davis.
Good Lord.
And I'm sitting there thinking,
but then you
these are big names of the time, and it's not as if their movies are not still talked about and influenced in other movies.
But I have to. I mean, I do have to wonder though. Having said that, how many of the big names that current generation probably talk about. How many of those names would necessarily mean anything to any of us, unless we've got kids or grandkids?
But
who talk
the
about,
thing is,
you know.
I would expect my kids to know about the more modern stuff
Yeah.
than me. But it'd be like me if my dad's saying, right, there's a Buster Crab movie on, and I'm going, who? It basically, Buster Crab was big in his day. He did Flash Gordon, he did Buck Rogers, he did Tarzan, he did so much more. But with me growing up in the next generation, not knowing about him, to me, it shows that something's wrong. But obviously, I knew of him. I still know of him. That's 2 generations gone.
Yeah.
Going into the 3rd generation, whereas my kids wouldn't know, but they're not into sci-fi, so I wouldn't expect them to know about stuff like that.
Yeah, true enough.
Whereas Howard Keel, it was such he had a wide variety. It'd be like saying, do you know John Wayne? Who? Oh, but I don't like westerns. That's why. But he didn't just do westerns. He did war movies. I don't like them. But he did this. He did the one, the one in Ireland. He did hundreds. But if they say no,
Quiet
then
Man.
it's a case of something's either Quiet Man. That's the one. But it's a case of somebody. It's like us. It's like you imagine the next generation saying, "What did you think of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man? Who?" And you're sitting there thinking, at the time, he was big. It'd be the same as my grandson not knowing who Tom Cruise is. I don't like Tom Cruise, but a big name, and he's watching the TV and he doesn't know who anybody that's not on the TV right now. And it goes to show, because people can't remember anybody they can't see on the TV right now, then stars are dead because they only remember them when they see them.
Yeah.
So if they're not on the TV, they've forgotten who they were. And then when they see them, say, "Oh, that was her. It was in that program last year. What's her name? I don't know, but she was in that program I liked last year." And it's that type of thing. Whereas we could look at it and go, "Oh, Chris Barry, I didn't realise he was actually in Drop the Dead Donkey." Who's Chris Barry? Oh, he did British and he did Rimmer and he did this and he did Spitting Image. And you're sitting there thinking, right, fair enough, you might not know Red Dwarf because you know into sci-fi. You might not know British because of the comedy. But there's so many other things he's did. You must have picked him up at a Lord Pipe. I don't know. And it's that type of thing.
Yeah, you might. I mean, I'm glad that there's a number of times I sort of see some, and I won't necessarily recognise the name. I mean, it's like I think Peter Capaldi was the only Doctor actor I'd actually think I'd recognised from anywhere.
Well, I recognise them from the pub.
Yeah, no, I'm saying no, but I'm saying all the Doctor actors, all
they were all basically fairly new. Yes.
Yeah, and the only other one is
David Tennant would be the only one because, as I said, he played Davina and Ramsay Nesbitt.
Yeah, but I hadn't seen that, and I hadn't seen was it Casanova he was in? But and the only other one was Peter Davison. Peter Davison, I remember from Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah.
No, I never. I think I never watched enough, but I remember him.
I remember him from that because my mum used to watch it. All Creatures.
I remember his first appearance with Simon Dickens' first appearance way back in Toro People in A Man for Emily. I mean, I remember Peter Davison from that as a somewhat camp space cowboy.
Yeah. And Peter, that's true because I've got every Laurel and Hardy DVD. Son of the Desert, can't help myself. And as you saw from my book, I quite agree because I've seen kids sitting watching Laurel and Hardy and not themselves. And it's because to me, like I liked Norman Wisdom, I liked Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy, Harold Lloyd. If you show any of them, Norman Wisdom, very young kids like because they're slapstick and overly silly. Abbott and Costello, similar, very young kids, but ones that are maybe about 7 or 8 would enjoy it because it's slapstick and silly. Buster Keaton, young kids, nah. Older kids, teenagers, yes. And Harold Lloyd, similar idea. Would maybe find it not all, but if you show Laurel and Hardy to any of them, it's just got that timeless classic that young kids can laugh at the silliness, older people can laugh at the intelligent silliness as well. Like, for instance, the bit where they're having the tit for tat, the bit when they're going out every time and they're going, one of the marshmallows and going, and eating it, and then the guy spreads thingy over it and they go, stuff like that. So it's intelligent comedy as well as silly slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Laurel and Hardy has got a wide range of people who can enjoy it. But anyway, have you got anything coming up this week apart from Friday when we're on?
Nope, only Friday at the moment.
I'm the same. And tomorrow, what's the movie for Mr. Hyde?
Tomorrow it's Night of the Comet, I think.
Night of the Comet. I've seen that. I saw that a couple of years ago. I actually rewatched that.
Yeah. Well, so what we must forget, Friday is a long and much earlier stream.
Yes, Friday is starting at 8 o'clock. 3 hours early. 3 hours early, remember? So we can actually have the extra hours. Because I said to my wife when I came in, because I'm online from 8 o'clock, so I missed the father's stream. I was actually free yesterday, but the father wasn't on.
No, I noticed that because I think he said a couple of weeks ago that he's going to be away. I think he's got things going on. He's got retreats.
Yes, I think he did say last week. He did say last week when I was watching it. He said he wouldn't be around because it was near seminary. It was something like
that. Yeah, he had something. Yeah.
Church. So we're going to finish up there, and thank you, Peter, for joining us. Thank you, everybody else, for joining us. Fun stream. Peter, one day we'll need to get you on here just so we can talk properly. So you will. And I'm looking forward to the Friday Night Tights meetup in the UK down in. They think it might be London, but I don't know yet. I'm still waiting for that because Ian's going. Miranda says she's going. I'm looking forward to meeting up with them. So I'm hoping I'm going to book up at least 3 days down there. So even if it's for one day, the night to meet up, I'm going to go down the day before. We'll have the meet up day, and I'm going to stay the day afterwards. So I've got 3 days down there so I can spend time. You know what I mean? So, and I'm hoping to meet a lot of the guys, anybody that's down there, near about where it is, but they're still not giving a location. We've got the date, and I've taken the week off holiday. So if they turn around and say we're only going to be there on the 10th, and go down on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But he says he's going to be down there in the week up until the 10th. So I've taken that week off again. And I'm waiting for him to give us the date and location so I can book my hotel. It's September. It's the first week in September. I think it's from the 5th to the 10th of September. As the 5th, no, it might be the 6th to the 10th, the Monday to the Friday. He's down in England. Because he's going to be over here for 2 weeks. 1 week he's going to be in London doing that, and the other week he's going to be travelling with his wife up in Scotland and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to that. So because I've booked it in mine, so let's see, where's my calendar? September. Oh, missed it. September, he says he's going to be here between the 4th and the 10th, which is the Monday to the Sunday. So I'm hoping it's going to be somewhere the 5th, 6th, or 7th. But it might be the Saturday, but I can't imagine it being the Friday or the Saturday because he does his stream. So he's going to be up here between the 4th and the 10th.
I think he did an FNT from the meetup at one point, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the dance one, I think. So
yeah, they did the thing. But
if he's still doing while he's over here.
Aye, as far as I'm aware, he still does it because when he was travelling to the other places, he was doing it from a hotel room with Quarter Black Garrett. That was last week. He's back and he was back in his room yesterday, but last week him and Quarter Black were basically were in the same hotel room because they were all getting all this slagging about the two of them sharing a room. Ha 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 ha. And so they were, but I
Yeah, I'm
must
just
admit,
wondering.
I'm so waiting for it because accordingly, Gary's coming over, Garrett's coming over, Shad is coming over.
Wow.
I don't know if X-Ray's coming over, but either way, I want to go down. I want to meet Garrett because he's a big Judge Dredd fan. He's made his own Judge Dredd helmet. Want to meet Gary, obviously. Want to meet Shad. And basically, I want to meet everybody. Anybody. Ian's going down, so I'm going to get a chance to actually physically meet Ian and say hi instead of online. Miranda's accordingly going, so get to see Miranda. She's been on the chats since day one. So I'm so looking forward to it. I can't wait. I'm just waiting for them to give us a location and a date so I can book the hotel. That's the only thing I've got to do because I've booked the time off, so I'm ready to go. I've got money put in my banks in for a side, and yeah, I've got a Comic Con in July, but I shouldn't spend too much on that one. I think as it's accordingly not going, which I found weird as hell because they're coming over and he's not going to go to the meetup. I know it sounds weird when they were talking about it, I was sitting there thinking, now, as talks about his exercise going down to the gym and stuff like that, is he a bit agoraphobic or whatever? Doesn't like going out. He talks about things, but the fact that he's got people coming over from the States and he's not going to go to the meetup to meet up with them.
Yeah.
It just seems weird as hell. Is it because he's maybe a wee bit, he doesn't like crowds and thingy?
Could be.
But you know what I mean? It could be anything, but it could be just a case of he just goes, fuck that. But it's just one of those things. You can't imagine Gary coming over and he's not going to meet him up. But if he is going to meet him up, which I'm assuming they will meet, it's not as if they're not going to meet because obviously how friendly they are. But he's not going to go to the meetup where everybody else is going to be there.
Yeah.
It just seems weird as hell. Because Shad's coming over as well. I know he's basically, it is round about that. Is it? It's just outside. I can't remember. It begins with a name. Maybe. I can't remember.
Shad, I'd like to meet as well because he does a lot of history stuff.
Yep. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm so looking forward. As I said, I'm so looking forward to anybody that's in the chat that have been there and any chance I can get. And I'll be down in London for a few days. You never know, might actually get a chance to meet up with Jim and Alec and yourself. So, but it's that type of thing. I'm can't wait for it just to meet up with a lot of the guys. Next year, I'm going to Vegas, so I can hopefully meet the father as well.
Yeah.
So it's things like that. It's not just the guys that are on the panel I want to meet. I want to meet the other ones. Roman says he's going to Vegas next year because I'm going. So I'll get to meet Roman in person. It's things like that I'm more interested in. I remember doing that with the CB meetups, going around meeting up with everybody, swapping your your cards and stuff like that. I liked the meetups because you get to chat to a lot of people, like-minded people, talk about comics, TV, movies, anything, and it's all good old classic stuff or good old more. I'm going to actually, accordingly, on Wednesday, I might be going to see. What am I going to see? It's not the Flash. What's the Dial of Destiny? Indiana Jones.
Boy.
My father-in-law wants to see it, and if he's not got anybody to go with him, I'm going to go with them. And I'm not going to actually say anything about it because
the sacrifices you make for family.
Yeah, he's going to go, and he's going to he liked the Indiana Jones stuff. That's not a big issue. I know you want to go and see the Flash, and I wasn't keen on going to see the Flash, but Indiana Jones, that's one.
I was going to say the interesting is if he likes the Indiana Jones stuff. Yeah. Well, you don't know. I mean, you just don't know.
But the way I looked at it is, and that means next Saturday, I've at least got something to talk about. Yeah. Anyway, we'll finish up there. So, boys and girls, lads and lassies, thank you very much for joining us. And remember, we're not old, we're classic. Me and Colin here all the way through. So until next week, Ta-ra.
Good night, folks.